Greetings, everyone. This is Kev, and this is BMBBH, and how are you guys doing once again? Please, as you come into this broadcast, and I'm sure there will be many of you eventually. Um, don't forget to hit that like button. Here's the deal. Likes are for free. They're for the algorithm, and the goal for the most part, is to get more eyes on this platform here that I call Black Men Being Brutally Honest. But, even more important than that is to get a message out. The black man's perspective is always the goal here. And as long as I can give it to you, it gives me some form of satisfaction. So, shoot, just like to ask, how are you guys doing out there? Let me know you're here. You are free to participate in the chat. Let me set up a poll here real quick. Let's see if give you a little bit more interactivity. Um, to other races and or groups. Um, Still the good aspect. Y'all gonna like this one. This is a subject matter that has been near and dear to my heart for quite some time. I mean, I'm a Southern guy, and I just don't like it when other groups of people are rewarded for acting like something that I am penalized for. And we're gonna get into that a little bit tonight. I mean, I can go on about it, forever, but I don't want you guys to get too bored with something like that. Let's see. Now, before y'all, before y'all try to get all super technical with me, I'm putting black in quotes for this question I'm about to ask in the poll. I'll explain the question itself just for clarity. For people who come in late, they're just gonna have to figure it out. Let's see. I'm gonna get into this. I feel like some of this cultural appropriation stuff is stupid. I mean, can we actually say that anything is truly ours? But then again, I know how to call a spade a spade. Said Toya, Toya the, I guess you can call her tutor or Texan. She's like big T, small T, big T. She says, "Much love, Kev. I'm listening till I start drooling." Yep. But yeah. Look at the question I have at the top of the poll. I mean, at the top of the chat, I have a poll going. It basically states: do other races or groups try to steal the good aspects of black culture? Um, Black, when we say black culture, what we're talking about. So, just if you just to give you guys something to interact with, and I'll be checking back with this poll periodically. Let me get this ad off of here. Yeah, here we go. See, we still got some votes. He said, "Do other races and/or groups attempt to steal the good aspect of black culture?" Yeah. All right, 3 votes. 2 of you have said yes. 1 of you has said no. All right, but let me get back to this. Just dying to hear what I got to say. Um, It's a quote from Paul Mooney up on the screen. Of course, Paul Mooney died about a year ago. Said this on Dave Chappelle show back in its primary run. He said everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga. That basically what that question is about. It's about people wanting to take the good aspects of our culture, basically, our music, our look, our physical attributes to an extent. Because I'm not saying that I agree with everything that people say about this whole cultural appropriation. Um, but I don't know. I think that we have a group of people that want to see us be a little bit more than a dance move or a great pro athlete. Excuse me. We have to understand this, that there are a growing number of people that want to see us identify more with intelligentsia because it's a good look. But as I will explain as the broadcast goes by, um, we kind of rejected that too. So this one's really touchy one though, and I do get that, and I do understand that, and I'll try not to go too far in a direction that might, I don't know, turn people off. But that's the price of being brutally honest. Sometimes what you got to say will turn people off. And let me start out by saying this: I am a very big opponent of racism. I'm not that guy who will sit up there and undermine our people for another group of people. Like they'll do with us at our most inopportune times. I do understand that no matter how much we try to gain the acceptance of other groups of people, uh, has history has told us time and time again, even in recent examples, they will code switch faster and a little bit more efficient than we will. Um, so just to keep that on you guys' minds right there. Nobody really wants to be us for real, for real. They want to be the cool parts. Like I said, they want to have the pop culture aspects, and we do have people who seem to be worried about that. But it seems that the same people will reject intelligence. But let's talk about culture appropriation for a second. Culture appropriation is basically taking on our, just I guess our style, like other groups of people who they have their cultures, and as far as we are as blacks, um, we have our culture, and cult. The association with cultural appropriation and blacks is almost synonymous because you will never hear other groups of people, and I haven't heard any other group of people complain about cultural appropriation when it comes to uh other, just imagine this. Imagine an Asian accusing a white person of cultural appropriation. Oh, you're trying to be, more like a, even though there are many caricatures in American film, and those are used as examples. So, but seriously, as it compares to how we do it over here in the black community, we say that it happens quite often. Uh, mostly like, with certain things like let me see, let me come up with a better example. What's going on, Dane One? I see you down there. Hurry up and buy. Feel rad was what it is. Okay. Let me come up with yeah. Okay. When we see, I would say, white folks with dreads, um, culturally, there is a movement of people out there that believe that when we as black people wear hairstyles such as dreadlocks, that we find struggles, societal and cultural struggles with that. Even in our places of profession, we often find discrimination in that. And for someone to, other group of people like a white person or an Asian person to wear that kind of hairstyle just freely and openly and without worry and care. People, some of our people will have a tendency to show resentment toward that. And I'm not saying that they don't have a right to feel how they feel, but my suggestion for that kind of situation is ask those people what was the goal. Why would you, if it's that much of a problem, why don't you just ask a person, that is not black that wears dreads, why would they do something like that? Because that is, I do understand that aspect, that way of thinking. Greg, what's going on? Name one said Vikings had dreads too. Yeah, so let me just not be stuck on this visual aid right here. But the late great Paul Mooney does have a point when he says this. Everybody want to be a nigga, but don't nobody want to be a nigga. That I mean, aside from the N word, what's going on, Anthony Drosos? That has very much meaning. If you agree or you disagree, why don't you drop it in the chat? But make sure y'all press like. Let's see. All right. But let me talk about this real quick. I do understand that this rubbed people the wrong way, and I did, you know, I was kind of on the fence with this a little bit. Um, no, I would never. And I think first and foremost, when you see something like this, what up, hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power. Um, when you see something like this, first thing that I usually think about is would I do something like this? And the answer is hell no. I would never wear a White Lives Matter T-shirts because, or shirt or anything that says that. I wouldn't even wear the BLM shirt. Why would I wear this one? uh, is Dane wants to say I can't give power to something I ain't make. Just a conversation piece because just wanted to give y'all my thoughts on this for those out there watching who were wondering what a typical black man would think about something like this when he sees it. No, it's not something that I would do. Am I totally mad at them for doing it? I mean, I can't control their lives. I wouldn't say this. I mean, they're getting treated bad enough for that. They're being called the C word, the COON. Yeah, we have a tendency as a group of people to get really mad at people who are supposedly melanated that make moves and do things like this. And yeah, do black people have a right to be mad at black people who do this? And freedom of speech. But at the same time, it's just really stupid, seeing what we're dealing with in today's climate. But I don't know if Kanye West wrote this message because I see these kinds of memes all the time where people are holding pads and saying stuff. He says, let me read it. I'm reading from the pad, and people are posting this like it's actually Kanye West that said this. He said the same people mad at me for wearing a White Lives Matter shirt idolized my white wife and made her whole family rich. Mm, okay. Um, does he have a point? Ted Gunderson, what's going on? He said, "Thanks for supporting free speech." I don't think anybody's free speech should be mute. I think that people should be able to say what they want to say. I believe that everyone has the right to know the truth about you. At least as far as what you believe and what you think, instead of someone having to always be fake. I do understand that due to certain people's professions, they can't speak how they want to speak, because we have certain people that will go back and, you know, tell on you. Write a letter to your job or send an email with a timestamp or a link to a website where you were saying some crazy stuff. But most of all, I'm not like that. I think that's just some whole shit. So I do support free speech, whoever it comes from. Yeah, Greg says Kanye is crazier than emoji. I can't see what the emoji is from here. Fucked in the head Manchurian candidate. So I'm not surprised. I mean, when you dibble and dabble in that side of society, that famous, millionaire Hollywood culture, you'll be saying all kinds of shit. Do I hold Candace Owens and Kanye West accountable as two black people? Do they become the example of why the cultural appropriation argument is kind of stupid? Yeah, I can. I can't take away the fact that they're black from them. Many people would probably disagree. This is probably going to be the conversation that you most agree with. I mean, most disagree with on some of the stuff that I say. But I mean, like I say, I can't take their blackness away from them. I mean, if you out there listening feel as if Candace Owens and Kanye West blackness is compromised, and be my guest. I'm not going to argue with you, but at the same time, I know at the end of the day, if they're caught in certain parts of the country, they will know that they are black. I don't believe that they are, you know, that they are not aware of the fact. I just believe that since they're on that side of society with that crazy, wacky culture, it might have affected them adversely, especially Kanye. I mean, think about it. Man ain't been the same ever since his mother, passed away. So, yeah. And I mean, all the other weird stuff that you hear about these millionaires and all this other stuff. I mean, shit. Who knows? But if you want to be mad at Kanye, which many people are, be mad at Kanye. I mean, everyone has to pay the price for the things that they say. But again, I'm not against it. I'm not against freedom of speech. American Negro, what's going on? Family and friends. Kanye West is playing chess, not checkers. $10 billion man. Hmm, that's a lot of money. Wow. Hybrid says there's a method to his madness. I mean, we are talking about a former presidential candidate here. I mean, but like I said, feel how you want to feel about Kanye. My thing is like how I actually said this in a Facebook post, which I deleted because I mean, at the end of the day, am I dealing in the hopelessness? Am I being hopeful in an environment of hopelessness? Let me just put it like that. I asked a very, very just tough question that no one seemed to want to answer. I was like, how can y'all be mad at Kanye and Candace for this if you got these very same people out there that they're mad at them because they're talking about these two have sold out, that they are COONING, you know, but you got all these people out here that just recently made fun of the death of Kevin Samuels. I mean, shit, why isn't that considered anti black? Why is what these two are doing considered worse than making fun of a dead man just because he had an opinion? That's why I say, oh, freedom of speech should fly because motherfuckers are too sensitive. I mean, shit. There is good reason to push back against messages like this. Believe me, I wouldn't do no stupid shit like this. I mean, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't because I disagree with it completely. I mean, if I wore the shirt, it would just be expressly just to piss people off. Because, and I mean, like, technically, what's the shirt saying is true. We can't say their lives don't matter. Just like we don't want them to say our lives don't matter. But just the whole point is, we know your lives matter. Your laws are leveraged against us, and I mean, to 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 the point where if we do something, we're definitely getting punished. I'll say that. But it's just too many examples of really dumb shit happening that could have been avoided, and then these police officers don't get punished. So hopefully, accountability, the level of accountability will change. But outside of that, we're talking about how we sometimes do things to ourselves. Yeah. Chances he's doing it to benefit the percentage of whites that are disenfranchised is slim to none. I think most would agree. Same Kanye West has said George Bush don't care about black people. The thing is though, when a black person puts himself in front like this, they are crucified immediately. It takes much shorter time than a racist. Sometimes people, would chalk it up to, well, they black. It feels worse coming from a black person trying to undermine blackness for whatever reason. But black people in particular did help make the Kardashians popular. That is an absolute fact. I mean, some of you dudes out there can sit up there and blame the females all y'all want, but we we was talking about that Kardashian ass and that sex tape. Shoot. So Kanye is kind of right about that. Did we listen to Kanye when he was making sense? Do we listen to any black man when they're making sense? But like I said, me, I wouldn't wear a shirt like this. I wouldn't. But if it's about free speech, then why do folks get mad at Ted Danson, Whoopi's ex, when he got on stage in blackface? Cause racism. That's why. Racism. What those things meant. Um, what those things symbolize. It's like mediocre tutorials and reviews said on that dumbass video talking about live streams ruin the manosphere. Yeah, I'm on record for saying that. That motherfucker, that was a dumbass thing to say. But he said that there's free speech and there is tolerable speech. That motherfucker quoted Charlton Heston when he was talking about Ice-T and body count. So for those of you who watched that mediocre tutorials and reviews video on the whole, how live streams ruin the manosphere, the motherfucker quoted a white man from like 1991, 92. Charlton Heston said that. But free speech versus free speech is not equal to free action. I'll say that. Yeah, I'm saying, do things at your own risk. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but you have to weather the consequences of saying such. Hybrid Hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power says, I think due to all the scrutiny he got from black people when Kim filed for divorce, made him take the gloves and go rogue. Hey, here's another thing. Here's another thing. Everybody was all mad at Kanye and for marrying Kim in the first place. Everybody was happy when Kim split up from him and made it difficult for him to be able to deal with his kids and letting Pete Davidson fuck and all this other shit. Then she ended up breaking up with Pete Davidson. It was like the same energy y'all had being mad at Kim for being with Kanye in the first place. Y'all were happy that she got with the white dude. Yep. This is why this culture appropriation conversation might be stupid. But it ain't like I agree with cultural appropriation either. So, but I thought MTR was no longer in the manosphere. D Rock Den, what's going on? Uh, no, he made a video talking about why I'm leaving the manosphere. This is what I don't get about these dudes. These dudes that's too cool for the space. You left the space. Oh, I don't deal with the space anymore. I unsubscribed from all the channels. Uh, I'm no longer associated with that particular space. But they can't stop talking about it. Now he talking about how live streams ruin the man. No, live streams liven the motherfucker up. Shoot. That's what happened. That's what happened. So you're right, Greg. I don't get that shit either. How do these motherfuckers keep saying they're leaving and they left and they don't have anything to do with the space, but they can't keep our names out their fucking mouths? I mean, and then like I said a couple weeks ago that they're trying to make Manosphere a buzz term, and these are guys that's basically spreading the cheeks. Shoot. I mean, he had a good point. Is like when YouTube decides that you can't be on the platform anymore, and they decide to push a button, and it ain't like that it's going to be any amount of I'm trying to comply with you motherfuckers that they're going to use. If they don't want you on their platform, you're not going to be on their platform, whether you're using discretion or not. And then plus, and I get it, he wants to protect his platform, because he now has over 500K subs, which congratulations, bro. It's called ego. Yeah, it's that Highlander bullshit. I had this thing there, since they rubbed elbows with Kevin Samuels, they want to be a boule now. And, I'm not with that shit. But then again, niggas can niggas can act like how they want to act. If I'm not the kind of guy. Let me just put it like this: I'm not the kind of guy that gets mad when I'm not invited to a party. I just throw my own party, and we have a much better time than that whack shit you was throwing over there. So yeah, it is ego. It is. I think I'm better than you guys. They convince you from subscriber number one that they're in it for black men. And then when they get atop a little mountain or a foothill or whatever, then all of a sudden they better than everyone. But okay, I mean, who cares? Who cares? It's like the one thing that guys who feel the way I feel should do is just build up enough to be able to say, hey, shut the fuck up. Keep our dicks out your fucking mouth, bitch. I mean, this this is what, like, in other words, you know, I don't like when stuff like that is said, but I also understand that there are things that I have to do over here as well. So yeah, but I see you motherfuckers that keep all this. Well, I don't have anything to do with the space manosphere, huh? Just shut up. Go out the merit of your own content. Show people what you got, since y'all don't want to be associated with this manosphere thing. That's all I'm saying. South Park 2K1. What's going on? To answer the poll question, heck yes, non-black folks love the rhythm, but not the blues. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I 100% agree with that. Um, but to make but let me sum up this little image up here. Kanye West, genius or dumbass, or what many people are saying, COON. And the funny part, which that's another point. People were more mad at Kanye than they were at Candace Owens. What do we call that? Someone's being coddled and protected because of a certain race and a certain gender. But we just gonna. I'm not saying it shouldn't be that way. I'm just saying it's that way. Uh, so let's see. Let's see. Cultural appropriation. Before we get to the recent example, let me see if I can find that slide. Boom, right there. I was never a fan of cultural appropriation. Never a fan of it. And, this has been since high school. Now, when the words high school are said in this space, it's often met with them niggas mad at stuff that happened to them in high school. They got rejected from some girl in high school. Or you can be like me, it's like, okay, I just started seeing stupid shit at an earlier age than a lot of people. So let's just speak in that context right there. But this particular example on the screen caused a little bit of controversy. Those of us who are old enough will remember this. There was a rap group. Okay, look at the image. It even says Yo MTV Raps right up in the top left hand corner. It's a rap group called the Young Black Teenagers. And by the image, the guys were Caucasian. That didn't sit well with many in the hip hop world. That didn't sit well with many of blacks. And that didn't sit well with 12-year-old Kevin Esther. No, it didn't. Oh, damn. That didn't sit well. That just didn't sit well because it's like they are calling themselves black. And obviously that's not the case. So that's kind of, if you're calling yourself black and you didn't deal with any of the issues and the struggles that we dealt with in being in our skin, something that no one can help. I mean, unless you know where to get the expensive surgeries from, but that's a 2022 context. But we're talking about this was 1992, I think. 92. Yeah. This ain't new. This cultural appropriation. You know how like a lot of people, social justice warriors and social media acolytes will sit up there and act like something happened this year, this month, this hour. Like these are problems that we've been dealing with for the longest. I just said 1992. This is 1992 right here. And this was some bullshit. But somehow one of the guys makes it in House Party too with Kid and Play. House Party, cult classic, especially amongst us melanated in Western culture. Yeah, I loved House Party, especially with the presence of Robin Harris, guy that could have been one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time if he hadn't have passed. Like he passed shortly after House Party came out and was going to be in House Party 2. So that was kind of what House Party 2 was missing for me at the time. Art Nostal TV, what's going on? Pass the bottle and twist the cap, super tight, but I could enjoy without the lyrics though. Hmm. Yeah, but my point is with showing this image is it's like okay, we were closer to in that year to the time where everything was messed up for blacks to where we had to have a civil rights movement, a Black Panther movement. This is post second wave feminism. Uh, even past the '80s during the war on crime, the tough on crime laws, and the original crack era laws, and just in the midst of all of that shit. This year was closer to that, and we were still taking like other groups in as our own, just because they could so called bust a freestyle, say a two-letter word, and and just gain all this acceptance. Yo, we don't isolate people like this. We welcome them. We're disarmed automatically. They're able to make it onto our films. What the fuck was this guy doing in House Party 2? I mean, to make the point of diversity on college campuses, I get it. Maybe he was on some minority shit, but I think that only worked with white women, but I'm not sure. But um so I get it to an extent, but why is it so easy for them to just slip in like that? Yo, what up, Donnie? Why wasn't there riots over this? I think that, like I said, I think that there was some unrest in the world of hip hop because they were named young black teenagers. It was just the point is, it was like at the point in time is we like even the guy that ended up in the movie, his name was Cameron. Cameron, you know who would take up that name next, of course. But how did this guy make it in a film? By acting black. And I mean, it's man. I don't know about you, but it should serve as an insult. Some of- some some of us don't see it as an insult, man. We don't let it occupy that much time in our head. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I don't go around looking for white dudes or white women that act black and just smack them over upside the head. I just want to let y'all know what I'm thinking about when it comes to certain things. And also, if you can get the point I was trying to make earlier, if I'm gonna leave a space, I'm gonna shut the fuck up about it and go on the merit of my content. That's all I was trying to say. If I spent too much time on it, but let's get back to the subject matter at hand. Thank you all for coming here to this broadcast once again with me. Please press that like button. And all I'm saying at the end of the day is let's just have a little bit more respect for each other. Than this. The name of their group was a kick in the teeth. Yeah, it absolutely was. Southpaw, it works with white women if they find they have J Lo sized derrieres. Mm. Yeah, I was gonna get to that in a moment. Tap the bottle and twist the cap. Young black teenagers had the track tap the bottle and twist the cap. Okay, it works with what? Okay, you already said that. Anthony Drosos says, meanwhile, in Canada in the early 90s, white kids were all trying to talk Jamaican. They always looked at me confused when I told them I'm not Jamaican. I'm Baha'ian. I hope I said that right. Please don't be angry. Yeah, you have a people that's not even educated on the culture trying to tell you what you are. Just want to kind of kick them in the teeth. Have more respect for than Drake. D Rock Den, super sticker. What's going on? Thank you for the super sticker. Baja means from Barbados. Remember the original Drake Snow? No, Snow was a little bit whiter than Drake. Yeah, but they got at Snow too. And it just I don't know what the fuck he was saying. Like I remember at the time Informer came out. Like I don't I don't recall ever believing that the song made any sense. I mean, he had that one word he said, "licky boom boom down," and I thought it was funny. I thought that's why the song was actually, people actually paid attention to that song because it was a parody on itself. Just saying "licky boom boom down" was catchy or some bullshit like that. You know, what I didn't realize is that because it didn't sound that way to me, not that I wasn't paying attention, is that he was trying to do reggae. And that doesn't sound like, up until that point of what my concept of reggae was when that song came out. That wasn't the concept that I was given. Snow was just another one hit wonder. Yeah. Remember Jim Carrey as Snow? I definitely do. He was like imposter. Yeah, I remember that. Shit was funny. Hybrid Catastrophic Impact X83rd Power says, I remember when Jeremy Lin got cornrows and Kenyon Martin accused him of trying to be black. The Lin turns around and accused Martin of trying to be Asian because he had Chinese writings as a tattoo. Shit. Well, all right. I mean, the cornrows argument is. Let's see. That'll bring me to this other visual aid here. I know I'm with the visual aids, but you know, I'm gonna do it till y'all get tired of it. And they keep doing visual aids. Let me see. We just scroll. Yeah, there it is. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, we do get kind of lit when it comes to the cornrows part. We put this comment that Hybrid put up there. And Hybrid said, I remember when Jeremy Lin got cornrows and Kenyon Martin accused him of trying to be black. Uh, then Lin turns around and accused Martin of trying to be Asian because he had Chinese writings as a tattoo. No one is a tattoo. If Jeremy Lin tattooed something in English, or which I mean, or if he tattooed something, let what I just thought about something. If a Chinese person tattoos something with an African custom on themselves, do I get mad? Do I say hi hell no, motherfucker? Or do I understand that I am American and that's not my custom for real? I'm descended from that custom, but do I have a right to say anything to him? That's some complex shit. Mm. Southeast Dusty. It was actually Licky Boom Boom didn't mean ass kisser or ass licker. Ooh. Yeah, which makes it even funnier that you said this. This motherfucker was talking about eating ass. Shoot. But I'm super duper. Super duper. I'm not tripping on other people wearing cornrows. YS4W says it's a monetized form of flattery. Hmm. Yeah, it's like when we see it in our local high schools, like I did when I was in high school. I saw a white kid come in acting black, and it was just like flies to shit. Black folks just like, oh, you cool, you a cool ass white boy. Let the black person with the complete sentences and the diction come around, and that whole mentality changes. And once again, somebody might say, them niggas still mad about something that happened to them in high school. God damn. No, just trying to establish that this mentality has existed for quite some time. Dang one tossing salads, this nigga right here. Um, hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd Power says, Kev, I literally seen a white man wear a dashiki the day the first Black Panther movie came out. LOL. Did he make it out safely? That's my question. Did he make it out safely? Or at least did he make it out without somebody saying some shit to him like, man, what the fuck you doing, dog? You know that ain't your culture. I'd have been content with you wearing a t-shirt with the damn Black Panther cover as a graphic on the t-shirt rather than wear a dashiki. Hmm. Groceries have been eaten. Yeah, that's what Snow was talking about. Shit, a lot of that old music was talking that same freaky shit. Yeah, we just didn't know it because we were kids. You know, some of us might not have been born. Shoot. But anyway, yeah, these are like two memes that I've seen. Um, these two memes I keep seeing very often posted on social media. Um, and both of them do have meaning. And both of them, this personifies the reason why this conversation is is more complex than it should be. No, I'm not with cultural appropriation, but in all actuality, if they really started to push the issue, what could they accuse us of? Well, shit, you're wearing them Dockers right there. Those Dockers and those penny loafers. Guess who made those, buddy? You know. And I mean, like, no, nobody's gonna take that shit seriously. I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah, but I think the one with the two girls in it is funny. My coach is not your hairstyle. She wearing blonde weave while this girl got cornrows. I saw a dude comment, I'm so tired of this stupid meme. They try to steal everything from us. I was like, well, you got a point. Oh, 37 votes. Do other races and or groups attempt to steal the good aspects of black culture? 76% says yes, 24% says no, and it's 38 votes. Why would y'all believe that they're not trying to do that? Shoot, let me let me put up an argument for you. Oh, well, let's see here. Donnie, he says this Chinese flattery we have all come to know wasn't popular until Kung Fu hit the silver screen. Prior to that, it was fuck them. Yeah. Nobody respected till Kung Fu and Bruce Lee. Wow. No, they get a complete reverence by the motherfuckers pick their nose and eat it public. Ugh. Yuck. Wow. Ew. But let me put up an example of the whole culture appropriation thing. Yeah. So look at that. Scrolling through all these images. There we go. Boom. Boom. All right. Sure you recognize these two people. The guy, of course, Eminem, Slim Shady. Um, Many would say if it wasn't for a black man in particular, this guy wouldn't be where he is today. And many would say that, he's probably in the top five as far as his ability to spit hot fire, I would say. A lot of people, as of late, with these newer generations, and oh, we got a super chat. Roguish the Bill Monger. Thank you. He says that 24% is on some bullshit. Think he goes by Roguish Son, but this StreamYard be giving y'all original names. So, but anyway, thank you, man, for real, for real. That's like loving the support. Did I enjoy some Eminem myself at some points in time? Yeah, I did. I didn't really think of it as cultural appropriation, so to speak. I just enjoyed some music. The man said I wouldn't put him in the top five. I didn't put him in the top five either. I'm just saying. All right. So the girl is Iggy Azalea. Now, even though she is quite shapely, as many of us with eyes would say, um, I'm gonna go ahead and just tell y'all this. The song that she had on the radio, y'all know that first song? Like, I thought it was Gwen Stefani at first. But I don't know. I just thought it was stupid. It's like I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Boy, I tell you, a lot of black folks was mad when, it, because T.I. was pushing her. Just like Dr. Dre was pushing Eminem, T.I. was pushing Iggy Azalea. Now, um, they're in different dimensions as far as their places in the music business and their levels of success. They're in different dimensions, obviously. Eminem has gone far and beyond anything that Iggy Azalea has touched. But black folks was mad when Iggy Azalea came out. They was mad. They was mad at Ti. Even Ti was like, "Why y'all ain't just happy for the black man?" you know, Ti actually said that in relation to when he was managing. I think he would eventually break up. He would eventually drop Iggy. But the big problem with Iggy was, yeah, it was cultural appropriation. I mean, it was even. I would even say this. I mean, as much later as Iggy came out, as much later as Iggy came out, then Eminem was accused of cultural appropriation after Iggy, and I would probably chalk that up to the de-evolution that social media has caused as of late. This is now people are calling themselves trying to call it out. But see, here's the thing. Uh, Eminem is being called out in an age where they just trying to find every little thing to call you out for. Like I said, these little social justice warriors, these social media zealots. Well, not zealots. Zealots is more of a leader type. But these social media sycophants that try to find every little thing to be mad at. So M is kind of, if he was guilty of it, which people tried to come at him a while ago because, I think he said the N word in a rap or something like that. Which, I mean, that's a red flag with me as far as white people. It's it's I believe if you're not black, you shouldn't use the word. I mean, some of you might actually disagree, but in 2022, Eminem is getting lost in the shuffle of all the complaints that people have about folks. So that's the only thing. If you wanted to get him, you should have got him years ago. Southpaw 2K1 says Iggy is there. You got fake curves. Gwen Stefani is like a twig, straight up and down. Yeah, but I just said I thought that when I first heard the song that it was Gwen Stefani. Yeah. Um, However, catastrophic impact. Ace 83rd Power says Lord Jamar said Eminem is a guest in the house of hip hop. Yeah, very well treated guest too. He's been allowed to dwell for several albums. I mean, he's to the point where he can, you know, he can retire, or if he hasn't retired already, he's been in that long. Iggy ain't done shit. That was she got the desired effect, for the people that were in our community that hated on her. I'm not saying that she deserved to be here either. I thought her shit was trash. I thought Iggy Azalea was trash. As far as her ability to deliver great music. Shoot. So anyway, hold on one second. Hope everybody press like or dislike some. You know how some people are. Y'all will dislike a motherfucker in a second, but that's cool. It's all good. Hmm. But I got some more shit to show y'all. Yeah, he's right. D-Rod didn't say hit that like button. Super Duper said Iggy ain't it. M actually has skill. Yeah, I said in the deep recesses of hip hop, Iggy Azalea is not even in close to the same dimension as Eminem. I did acknowledge that earlier, but it's just big examples of when people who think, let's say, that something belongs to us, something truly doesn't belong to us. If we want to if we want something to belong to us, then we'll do everything that we possibly can to hold on to it. I'm not saying that, let another culture win our stuff every time. Hmm. So let me see. So hit that like button. The man said, I remember Iggy doing a freestyle on Sway in the Morning, and a caller called it garbage. Man, I remember. I think she was trying to do a freestyle on Jimmy Fallon, and it was garbage. That caller wasn't lying. That caller was not lying. So let's see. Scroll to. Yeah, we got to be careful with our culture. We got to be careful who we allow in our culture. Or we end up with some shit like this. People trying to define our culture for us. Now I know this is no direct example of culture appropriation, but shit, when you have the Democrats trying to virtue signal by wearing dashikis and the African regalia, you got Kamala Harris trying to do the Wakanda Forever symbol. I mean, shit, I guess it is. The insult about something like this is believing that we are that simple as voters, which, most of us might be, which is sad. Mm. So, what is going on?
Oh shit! And you know what? I listen to the playback. I'm slightly behind. How you living though?
Oh, shit. Uh, pretty good, man. What's the deal? Will you hear me say anything that you wanted to elaborate on, maybe push back against?
No, I'm very familiar with the uh, misappropriation, the cultural, vultural lifestyle that is white folks latching on to black folks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean this shit runs back. Have you seen? Initially, I wasn't gonna watch it, but have you seen the Elvis Presley documentary?
No, no, I haven't. Yeah, yeah. Elvis is the ultimate example.
Yeah,
Uh,
I didn't. I initially did not want to watch that movie. The only reason I watched that movie was because I was on a flight that was super long, and it was like, all right, fuck it. At the very least, I'm gonna go to sleep on this. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna use this background noise. But the movie was shot in an alternative way. I'll give it that. It was very interesting to watch. Um, but Elvis or whoever designed the movie gave credence to Elvis's background around folks and still in the black folk style. Um, they at multiple points basically referenced him um, like a nigga. There's really no other way to put it. He was the white boy hanging around niggas. Um, he was singing black songs. He was dancing like a nigga. White folks had a problem with it because it was too nigga like. Um, and you know, Elvis
what about it? Hmm. Yeah. Well, till Donnie's able to work out his audio sound problems. Um, you did have the group Public Enemy speaking of Elvis, accusing him of being a racist. I believe that Elvis had the sentiment to black people is like, black people can't do anything but shine my shoes. Now, for Donnie to say that is the movie and that's how it was, wow, it's quite surprising that they would, shape the story to be that way, depending on Elvis being that kind of person. So, see, let me
all right,
see.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, did you get any of what I said or no?
Um, you said Elvis was, the like just basically hung around us and got everything from us and hung around
Yeah,
niggas and
I basically came to find out every popular genre of music that we have out here today is a black genre of music. That's just what it is.
mm,
You got the grunge shit apparently was a black woman in Seattle. White folks were taking that over. Rock and roll. I don't know if anybody in the chat or if you've watched Little Richard story.
no, little Richard, no,
So my thing is I wanted my
because
son to know music.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I do know that Little Richard does call himself the Quasar Rock and Roll.
The Godfather. They call him the Godfather of rock and roll,
I
right?
mean, you can also give that credit to Chuck Berry as well.
Little Richard was prior to Chuck Berry, but uh, uh, either way you look at it, Little Richard was popping and he was doing some real rock and roll. My thing is I want my son to be very versed in music and know what it is. So I put my son early on. He like I get in the car with him. We singing Lucille on the way to drop him off at preschool. Lucille, he be in the background screaming, Lucille, Daddy, play Lucille. Because I want my son to know his roots and know what we have done as a people, right? My son is half uh, African. We'll just go with that. Half African. There's a couple of different Africans in there, but he's half African.
Mm.
Son to know the greatness of his people here in America.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
as a
absolutely.
result of that, I'm feeding him Americana, if you will, Black Americana. This is what we are. We are Americana. So when you look at the Little Richard story, Little Richard was putting his albums out and they was giving it to Pat Boone. And this nigga said, oh, fuck that. Pat Boone want to sing my shit. Let's see if he can keep up. He was singing this shit so hard, so sharp. Pat Boone couldn't keep the fuck up. And they put that in the music. They put that in the movie. And it was such a phenomenal stroke of genius that he was out here out singing these motherfuckers that was taking his songs. Um, Black kid growing up in the 80s. What was the first movie we came across? Five Heartbeats. What was they doing? Wah 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 woo. Had the white boys saying that shit. This is all they've done throughout time, and now is no different. They're putting white people, white faces, into black music, and then trying to put them in a position of power. Most black people listen to music for what? The beats. So now they're giving individuals who really don't deserve phenomenal songs, phenomenal beats and beat makers, and they're investing all this money into them to catapult them to the top. We have Jack Harlow. That's the new Eminem, in my opinion. Eminem could rap. Jack Harlow, he's so, but they're giving him phenomenal beats and giving him phenomenal production.
Hmm.
What's the other white boy? The Party Like a Rock Star.
Hmm? Party Like a
Mm,
Rock Star.
not Party Like a Rock Star. I've been fucking hoes. He had a song with 21 Savage. Somebody gonna say it in the chat. That white boy is singing country music. I don't care what nobody said. They just gave him hip hop beats and told him to sing the same
You ain't
song.
talking about Post Malone, are you?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
White Iverson. Yeah.
hmm. Oh, okay. Let's talk about another aspect
They
of
just put
culture.
it on it.
Say what? Oh, okay. Yeah, hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd Power says Justin Timberlake and Robin Thicke were taking R&B too. They can have it. LOL.
Yep. Who and wasn't it a white group that just became like the number one reggae artist in America or some shit? That's some crazy shit to me. Niggas
Yeah.
can't have nothing.
Nah, can't have shit. Or what we need to do, we need to take it. We need to claim whatever is ours, and we need to put our foots in the ground and say this is ours. We're not gonna let you take this away from us. But we don't control that level of decision making. Wasn't it BET that decided that? BET ain't been ours in a while.
BET big on Black Evil Television. BET big on.
Yeah.
I respect
Yeah.
BET for what it did and putting black artists out there and making us the top sensation on our own channel, but it was co-opted and it's gone.
Yeah.
I was
I
done with
mean,
BET when they had McDonald's commercial and they were singing soulfully. Ooh, chicken nuggets. Ah.
man, dude, I was there when they were actually singing acronym. They was talking about some black entertainment TV. I was there when they did that shit. When Nipsey Russell had a show, not Nipsey Hussle, Nipsey Russell, the motherfucker that played the Tin Man and the Wiz. He had his own show on BET. Then they used to show the Jackson 5 cartoon.
Oh man, that was hilarious. That was a great show. Actually, I'm gonna go download them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember it now. BET. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with them folks.
It's a check.
Yeah, yeah. But look at the screen, man. This is a. I still like to this day don't understand how she get past all them people. Donnie, do you have an answer? I don't understand how Rachel Dolezal got past all these folks as a black woman.
How?
How?
Acceptance. It was over with, and I realized this was probably in 2013. The concept was what? They're invited to the cookout.
Mm. Oh, so basically, what they would allow their eyes to see the truth. That's what you're saying.
It's always been for black people, they want acceptance. So if you have a dynamic of a white person who is quote unquote down for the cause, damn the rest.
Mm.
Rachel Dolezal is a prime example. Rachel Dolezal should have gotten a full black fist in her face. She never got it.
D. Rod Den says she's married to a black man. Doesn't make her any blacker.
Nope. Rachel Dolezal lives in Tucson, if I'm not mistaken. Last time I checked, she lived in Tucson. Rachel Dolezal was putting out I want to say some little black figurines and shit. So she went from being the white woman who was pretending to be black to putting out black.
Donnie, Donnie, you're Borging.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Borging now. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, Rachel Dolezal does hair and does locks, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
Cashing in on
Wow.
black culture is very much the end thing. If
Yeah.
black people left hip hop and we created, and that's what you heard on the radio, and motherfuckers was listening to, and niggas was going, within 10 years there would be infiltration of white folks saying,
Yeah. Yeah, Dane Wan said, would you hit though? Did you just, Dane Wan, did you just do a butt sheet thick? But you said it another way?
what you hit though.
Would you hit? Yeah, let's see.
It's a lot of
Yeah,
niggas
but
out of here.
yeah. I definitely agree with that. I, for one, I am married, so I'm not supposed to. I'll say that. But I could see how other guys, based on me hanging around other black dudes and see what these guys nail on a regular basis. Shit.
It's a white comedian. Am I not Borging? I'm clear.
Yeah, you clear.
Okay, so it's a white comedian. What is his name? Funny ass dude, a little Irish dude from Boston. He made he had a bit where he was talking about white women, how they were the right hand of the conqueror. They were essentially profiting, living the good life, eating fat off of the hog because their white husbands were raping and enslaving black men and women and children. And white women have always sat there and they've enjoyed the spoils off of this. Now they have this movement to where they're quote unquote not sitting idle and they're helping out. They've always been in the mix. There's laws that have been put into place because white women have been beating black women because they were getting raped by their white husbands. It's insane.
Okay.
But now you want to speak up.
People in the chat are saying that's Bill Burr.
Bill Burr, there you go.
Yeah.
But he lit these people up and they were upset. But the truth is the truth.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Something you cannot dispute. The truth.
The truth is the fucking truth.
Mm.
White women will say they are allies until it's time to get dirty. And then once it's time to get dirty, they step back into their white privilege.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
I've had white women tell me I'm mansplaining and I have male privilege, and I try to tell them, bitch, where? But at that point, it becomes, well, you're oppressing me, bitch. How can I oppress you? You can call the police and have me beaten and killed and shot and everything else. Oh, he raped me. It's a wrap for me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you were to make the argument of female privilege, that's an argument that you can make more successfully than the argument of male privilege.
White women are considered minorities.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Why? So they can have the privileges and benefits that black men are supposed to get.
Mm-hmm. White gay males are now considered minorities.
Oh God.
Why? You have white neo-Nazis. You have white supremacists. You have white everything under the sun dislike a nigga, but they are somehow considered minorities. In my opinion, a minority is nothing but a tax bracket or an exemption from being put into the category of oppressor. But the reality is there's some staunch white supremacists who are flaming sex loving individuals.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and that is the elephant in the room in those conversations. They'll call you out in a heartbeat on, oh, you're black. You're supposed to understand what it's like to be oppressed, but then will turn around and be racist as fuck toward you. Dave Chappelle even said something about that. The conversation that's never had is, can a gay person be racist?
Hmm. There's a famous article from some years back, and it's two white supremacists getting married. Really
God
think
damn.
about that. Two white supremacists, I think they're two neo Nazis, proudly getting married. So you are anti Semitic, you are anti gay, or well, maybe not anti gay, but you're anti black. You're getting married, and you are a flaming white supremacist. Emphasis on flaming, right? Uh,
Mm,
it, it, we live in an era where yeah, labels matter, but you're disregarding the labels by giving someone a label. It's insane.
yeah. And man
And just
said,
like Dane One said, you have Woe Vicky and Bad Baby. Woe
oh, that's
Vicky is
American Negro.
oh well, he Dane One said that Bad Baby and Woe Vicky, but
Oh, okay.
American
Yeah,
Negro
yeah.
said
They
it
both
too.
they both said it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
But just like Miley Cyrus was around here twerking, shaking her ass, shaking her little non-existent ass, and doing everything. She want to hang out with the niggas. She want to make a song with Mike Will, and then she jumped fully into her whiteness. Listen, I was making I was making bad choices. The niggas had me do this. The niggas, believe me when I tell you, if Whoa Vicky was able to get into anything else other than um, ratchetness, she would way, 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 way 100,000, 2 billion% drop all of the nigga talk and get into productive white male or white female talk.
Mm,
That's what they do. Playing black until it's time to not play black is what they do.
mm,
And that's a problem.
mm. So how do we get them not to?
You gotta, it's simple. We gotta start calling these motherfuckers out. There's no letting it slide. It's too many black people that will let you slide with your bullshit because you check some kind of box. I, I'm not the IRS. I'm not any of these motherfuckers out here. If you fuck around and say, "Yeah, what's up, my nigga," and you are a white gay man, I'm going to check you. But there's motherfuckers out here be like, "Cool, it's all right. He's oppressed too." No, the fuck he's not. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a chick I used to kick it with. She's Colombian. She would say nigga all the time. She fuck with black people. She fuck with me. She was much love. I had an understanding that the Latinos were damn near black. Then I didn't because I did some more traveling. I did some more understanding. I did some more research. I did some more reading. Then I understood that there's white Latinos, there's black Latinos, there's more native Latinos, right? All of these
Hmm.
Latinos running around here saying nigga does not give you credence to say the word nigga. J Lo, motherfuckers down on Fat Joe.
Oh
We be
yeah,
calling
Fat
these
Fat
individuals
Joe.
on this shit.
Yeah, they called out Fat Joe recently for that, saying the N word. He talking about, I thought I was black.
Fat Joe, okay, let's look at Fat Joe, right? Fat Joe is really a white Puerto Rican. I don't see no dark skin tone on his ass. He could be in the sun and possibly in a tan just like a white man can. In my opinion, Fat Joe is a white man. So if Fat Joe is a white man, he's running around saying nigga, we have a problem already. But now if you look, Fat Joe is catching heat because he's now giving hip hop to the Puerto Ricans and the Latino community. But people are going back and getting receipts and saying, nah, you motherfuckers didn't have nothing to do with us. You niggas was around. You motherfuckers was here and there, but you had nothing to do with us. And what is Fat Joe doing? Nah, you got to give it to the Latinos. We was there. So in my mind, you're an oppressor just like the other white individuals.
So this man was not too long ago trying to claim black along with who was it? Was it Cardi B or was it someone else? Like they were both trying to claim black, and now he's talking about some. Oh, you gotta have the Latinos. You see, black when convenient.
More or less every Dominican person, for whatever, well, we can go into the history of that, but more or less every trying to claim black, they'll tell you I'm Dominican. Jamaicans. I had a conversation the other day with my friend's father, and he was talking about how when he was younger, his homeboy was basically messing with this Jamaican woman, and she was like a dark skinned Jamaican woman, and he goes, we us black people, and she was like, well, no, I'm not black, I'm Jamaican, and he held out his arm, and he was like, you darker than me, you're black, no, I'm Jamaican. So we got to get a lot of these individuals out the box because if they are not claiming black, they don't want to have anything to do with black. But when it's time to cash a check, they're all of a sudden part of black culture. You got to get the fuck up out of here.
Hmm.
When Hispanics fill out forms, do they check white, Latino, or Hispanic? They check white or Caucasian, and then they check Hispanic to do a differentiation. But ultimately, they check white.
Hmm.
Or alternatively, there is black, box, Hispanic. Are you of Hispanic descent?
Hmm. Hmm. Hey, listen up, y'all. I'm gonna drop this link in the chat. If you've been up here before, you are welcome to hit the link. I see Art down there and I see Rogish down there. So here we go. But D Rock Den, I think he disagrees with you. He says no, they don't.
It's real simple. You can pull up some forms. You can
Mm,
pull up some forms. Maybe pull up the census. Pull up a driver's license form. Pull up maybe a job application. The shit says it on there. That motherfucker will say, "Are you Caucasian? Are you black? Are you this? Are you that?" And then they'll get into the specific of your Caucasianness. If you are black, they will get into the specific of your blackness.
mm. See, Fat Joe says. Dane Wan says Fat Joe is Cuban. Africans do that too. That's why you don't call me African American.
Yeah, Africans do that too. Like I spoke about on the show. My wife is half Nigerian. For the most part, her Nigerian family is real cool, real accepting, everything else. But she's got one auntie, potentially another auntie that is on the coon train. This one auntie always got some slick shit to say. But I have pointed out on multiple occasions, your kids is listening to black music, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah, they always shit on us when they get over here.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I went to the whole thing. I was like, dude, don't call me African American. You could just call me a black man. I'm not gonna allow you to call me African American because I'm not African. My descendants are, but I'm not like African because my bloodline has been tainted by uh, selective mutation, like fucking who you want to fucking people getting raped and shit by the slave masters and all that crazy shit. So my bloodline is tainted, so it's not African. And
You
then
know,
American, meh, American can go either way.
you don't have to even go that far because when you look at these other countries, as black folks caught that boat ride to a multitude of countries. And when you have a conversation with these motherfuckers from these multitude of countries, what do they say? I'm Dominican American. I'm Bayesian. I'm Caribbean in some way, right? Or I'm from uh fucking Colombia, Panama, XYZ. These motherfuckers leave behind the blackness and opt for the country. Well, nigga, my people built this country. My people are the roots and the foundation of this country. Without they always want to do this stupid shit every time it's the Mexican American History Month. What about what would America be if there was no Mexicans and lawns are fucking out of control and there's no oranges? Fuck
I
you.
mean, we had to do the shit ourselves.
Yeah,
We had to
yeah.
stop
Fuck you.
being lazy.
I can cut my own grass. Can you niggas get you a refrigerator? Can you niggas operate without a stop sign? Can you operate with all this infrastructure that these black niggas built for you? What the White House, the White House, the White House that niggas built. Are you telling me that you motherfuckers could do all this without black folks? Fuck you, fuck you, and the horse you rode in on. But they never have this
Exactly.
conversation. They will always have this conversation of what would America be without the Chinese? Nigga, it would be without orange chicken. I can live without that. What would
That would be
America be
without orange
without the
chicken and
Mexican?
guns.
We would have been there. I believe we would have been there. But that's neither here nor there. It ultimately, the impact of Black Americans on this country is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Without slaves being in this country, slaves and free men after the fact, the landscape of this country would be completely fucking different.
yep. And there would be no clothes.
No clothes.
Nope, because of cotton gins.
So you
Oh,
telling me
that
niggas would be running around here with wool suits and
look like
and
puff
tree bark
bears.
or whatever the fuck they was wearing.
Yeah.
Nigga, that's a
And,
nice
We
and
buckskin
went
outfit
around
you
to
got
bale
on.
that cotton, like
what I hate is how black people are always, he could dance. He invited to the barbecue. Fuck that. He ain't invited to no barbecue. You better sit his ass at the kiddie table. He ain't invited up
Yeah,
here with us.
I detest that silly shit. I detest the notion of this white man is allowed at the barbecue. I detest the notion of he's an ally. I detest the notion of all white people ain't bad. We should just explain what racism is to this 45-year-old white man who's been here longer than fucking you. If you don't sit the fuck down,
what up, Rogan?
Yeah,
late in the day.
What it do? What it do, y'all? So y'all
that's
talking about
crazy.
MC Albion?
What you
Huh?
say?
Rogish.
Oh my bad. I thought they weren't saying so. Look. When it comes to this, they how would they stay away? This is my question, right? How would they stay away from the culture and because it's undeniable, right? The culture is undeniable, but yet it comes from the have-nots of their sector. So it's like, all right, but it's undeniable, and it comes from those who they pretty much despise, right? Um, I don't know. They have to be torn, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that they're not torn doing that shit, that's the weird part. That's like what could you participate in, or what would you think you could participate in within their culture, and you wouldn't feel weird, you know what I'm saying, doing it? Like what the
For
country club
Parcheesi?
for shuffle ward or some shit. You know what I'm saying? How could you? How what's the most cornball cracker shit that you can think of that you could actually fake?
But see, that's what the problem is. The
Eat a
country
hot
club was
dog.
built by who? It was built by black folks, and then you told niggas you wasn't allowed to come up here.
Okay.
Play golf.
Okay. Yeah.
White
Golf
folks
ain't that
claim
bad though. Golf ain't
white,
that bad. It's a little goofy. It ain't that
golf is
bad. But
golf is a fun sport, but white folks claim the sports in which they will not allow or make it very hard for black folks to participate. Golf is a prime example.
NASCAR.
Tennis is a prime example. NASCAR, prime
no.
example. You have black NASCAR racers getting in there and doing their thing, and what do they have? They have nooses put in they fucking in their little stock room. They have the organization doing all the slick shit to them. Boxing was a phenomenal white sport. White folks felt real proud of this shit.
Yeah,
Shaq
Rocky
Johnson
Marciano.
came in this motherfucker. Hey, we got to stop this nigga. What is he doing?
Riding off with a white bitch in the sunset,
Oh
1920.
yeah, nah, fuck that. We got to create a law for this nigga. We're gonna call this the Man Act. Yeah, that man. They really wanted to call it the Boy Act, but these motherfuckers had a little bit of sense.
Yeah. Hey, but we got a new up. Mike R. What's going on?
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's good? So I definitely think that African Americans or foundational Black Americans definitely started the entire American economy.
That's
Um,
the fact.
we literally at one point were the economy, like literally, like the bodies of people that were being sold and bought on auction blocks. We literally were the economy at one point in this country. And people, I feel that there is literally a movement right now to discredit everything and to basically almost like how they did with the Egyptians, how they chipped away their history and tried to cover up the Egyptian history. I think they're trying to cover up the history of African Americans in this country, their contributions, their legacy.
You shouldn't
Uh,
think that. You should know that at this point.
no, but trust me, I know it, but I'm just making a comparison between us and the Egyptian Empire, how they're trying to confuse and inject other groups, say aliens did it, say all kinds of garbage to discredit the work that foundational Black Americans did in this country. I mean, I had the opportunity. I'm out here in Vegas. I had the opportunity to go to the Mob Museum in Vegas, and wouldn't you know? So you've been there. So did you see that little part in there about the African American brothers who were working on the Hoover Dam?
Nah, that might be a new addition. I went when it first opened up.
They were Black people that were working on the Hoover Dam. Brothers actually helped build the Hoover Dam, one of the most important structures for this entire state as far as energy. But we didn't make no contributions to this country, quote unquote, other people that talk about us.
You know,
Okay, but wait a
this is
minute.
like the railroad. When you look at the railroad, who do they attribute the railroad to?
Asians,
The Asians.
Chinese.
Yet we somehow have a
But
mythos of John Henry. And what did John Henry do?
He wowed them. Basically, when drove through a mountain or some shit.
John Henry was laying down the railroad tracks at such a fast pace that these motherfuckers had automation, and they had an automated steam engine track layer going, and this nigga John Henry outdid the steam engine. So you're telling me the nigga outdid the steam engine? He's a mythos. He's up there with Paul fucking Bunyan and Johnny Appleseed and all these weird, ridiculous white mythologies that they created. Yet somehow the Asian man did the railroads. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
everybody know the chain gangs built the damn railroads, and those chain gangs were made up of Black prisoners.
Okay, but wait a minute. What acknowledgement are you wanting from the United States?
The acknowledgement I want from the United States is my check. That's what I want. And when you give me my check and we get that conversation going from there, it's going to be a conversation that I control, because there's going to be too many individuals who will put themselves in a position to tell the actual story. Where we are now is there's too many white individuals who are out here whitewashing. Hey, listen, my grandfather looked bad. Just like when they did that DNA tree and they went and found Ben Affleck, man. They found his individuals was running plantation. He said, "Hey, listen, we can't show this shit. We can't do this shit." Just like when they did that, this is what they're doing in history as a whole. This is why Texas refers to slaves as what, indentured servants. or some slick shit. And as a result of Texas, the big ass state, having all of this information, the surrounding states get those textbooks. Nah, we need to go ahead and go back and have this real conversation. Like, we need to have a conversation about the Civil War. The Civil War was not about going out here and altruistically freeing the black folks. No, the Civil War was about, listen, we getting our asses handled to us. Why don't we free some of these niggas so that they start covering these territories and working for it, just like in the movie Glory, but we didn't really sell that story in Glory.
Well, see, that's the thing. If it was always just business, nothing personal, then we wouldn't have no problem with these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So to call them into accountability, you're calling them into accountability of their business, their word. You know what I'm saying? But they don't operate off of that. That's why this is the most important thing as far as, you know what I'm saying, with the Peckerwood. Then he give like 700 black girls like AIDS or some shit.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Glad you can direct attention to the image that is on the screen. Yeah, cultural appropriation will, let a lot of, I would say, baddies slip into the picture that aren't even supposed to be there. What I mean by baddies are bad guys. And for a person to infect over 600 women with affliction such as HIV, that makes them a bad guy. But what got them there in the first place?
Yeah.
Access.
Inviting motherfuckers to the barbecue. That's what that's about.
I mean, what the thing is, they grant them access, not understanding that you're selling culture still connected to the place where you came from, even though you're more than likely you're not going to go back, you're not going to invest. You're selling the culture. You are a representative of your community. Your community is a representative of something much larger than just a neighborhood, because what these people feed off of is that what you present as culture from there. That these motherfuckers should have to pay a tax. That's why I ain't against, what I'm saying, the street tribes make these motherfuckers check in certain places, because it's like, wait a minute, you ain't understanding what you're selling. So you're actually selling a resource. Culture is a resource. But if your own village ain't feeding off of it more than, the motherfuckers, the white motherfuckers you're doing business with, it's like a Jackie Chan movie. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers is taking the artifacts and bringing in the fucking opium, and you supposed to let them do it. You know what I mean?
We have a dynamic in our culture where we accept a quote unquote white quarterback. You have an entire team full of black folks, and you'll have one white quarterback. And that has become problematic in so many different ways. This is why I stopped listening to the radio a long time ago. I've lived in San Diego, California, and in Arizona. And when we got to Arizona, I realized a large difference in the radio, because there was not a black radio host on the black stations.
Right.
We had one black radio host, and that station really quickly died out. Super Snake disappeared. I don't know what the fuck happened to this motherfucker. He's gone. But now we have white and Latino people, and they're white Latinos for the most part, who are repping these radio stations, and they'll let anything fucking slide. So now you have the steward of the ship, who is pretty much a white person or a white line person, directing what the culture is. And we're supposed to go with that. I'm tired of this bullshit. DJ Pope is a prime example. This is a white man put in a position of power. He's calling the plays at the radio station. Some motherfuckers are trying to get cozy with him. Hey, yeah, man, listen, I'm trying to get my track on the radio. I'm trying to do this. Oh, yeah, well, you should go to my production team. Well, listen, my homegirl over here want to holler at you. Won't you come over to the club? So now he's in a position in the limelight to fuck with all of these black women with HIV. And he's spreading it amongst the masses. And now he's become a fixture at the club. So now he's accepted because he's the fucking host at the radio station. A flaming white supremacist who's passing HIV to your whole community, but he's accepted at the radio station. He's fucking every ratchet in every neighborhood and passing that on. So you have 600 individuals who's come in contact with this HIV positive individual. And how many individuals are fucking with these ratchets in this neighborhood? Because if they fucking a white radio DJ host for nothing, what are they fucking you for? For a blunt and some chill out time?
Mm. Yeah. Real fast. Shout out to Toya and to Greg for the cash apps. Really appreciate the support that you guys give me. Uh, yeah, especially for this intense subject matter that we speak on. But cultural appropriation, cultural appropriation. What would you do to stop it? What would you do to stop it? Would you start acting like them?
Can't
uh,
stop it.
you can't.
Well,
Yeah.
you
The,
can't stop it. What you can do is make it socially non-desirable to witness or to observe. You can't stop it though. So
yeah.
if you just have to pour some value into it. You have to pour some etiquette into it. And by now, since everybody has been operating freely, not understanding that they operating out of pocket and not being told that they operating out of pocket, what I'm saying, as far as back as, 40 years or whatever. Um, I mean, it's you either gonna strong arm some shit or you're gonna try to negotiate. But if
If
you got to negotiate with your culture, then you already the loss.
if
You
I
know
Yeah.
what I
could
mean?
just say this, the way that a lot of black people have, and particularly in America, have dealt with cultural appropriation, especially in the music scene, is we just evolve, right? So the white man stole the blues, we went to rock and roll. They stole rock and roll, we went to, jazz. They stole jazz, so then we go to, disco, R&B, right? They stole that, then we go to hip hop. They stole hip hop, we go to rap, and so forth and so on and so on. So we,
Wait,
instead of
bro.
us,
Wait, bro. Your timeline's a little skewed.
well,
No, well,
well,
I
actually,
get what the brother is
you get
saying.
what
I
I'm
get what
saying,
he's
though.
saying. But
But no,
I know
but
the I know the
hold up.
timelines a
They
little
ain't
bit.
stealing it. They ain't
I
stealing it. Why y'all
no,
keep
no,
saying
they
they
have
steal it?
stole it. They
These
have
motherfuckers
stolen
ain't
it.
no,
stealing it.
They
they're
They
didn't
stealing
just
it.
steal. They didn't
giving it.
No,
They're
steal.
they
stealing
Okay,
it.
so they didn't
no
But it's
steal. They
no.
also
didn't steal
That,
rock and roll.
also
They didn't steal
what
rock
he's
and roll.
what he's pointing out is we have a culture of appeasement, right? So when I
Yeah.
say appeasement, I'm not saying that we are just yeah, what it's become. All right, they're taking this, so I'm gonna let go of this and create something new. But where I'm at now is fuck you. We've created too much to where you.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yoink. They got him. Uh-oh. He talking too
yeah,
much
Oh,
real.
I hear we.
I mean, you're skipping like a rock over there, man. Skipping like a rock.
okay.
My point
A
for
little
bringing
bit.
this up though is that they've stolen damn near everything as far as our music. Like we are American music. We are. Like who else? The biggest genres of American music come from black people. Period. End of discussion.
The biggest
But
genre of
we've
music
dealt
in
with
this world come from black people, dog. America ain't got shit to do with this.
the
The
point I'm
whole
talking
world
about
eat. The whole world
specifically,
eat off of
bruh,
it.
bruh, bruh.
Is
You're
there a
going too
genre
big.
of
You're
music
going
that
too
white
big.
people have invented?
Let's just stick with American
Coldplay?
blacks right now. Right here in the United States, the way we deal with a cultural appropriation and that we've always dealt with it has been to just create something else to keep the ball rolling, right? When white people start saying bling bling, we started saying something else, right? So my
Okay.
point is that right now in the temperature right now with all this discussion around who created hip hop, and I know you've heard this in certain circles, we are tired of having to recreate ourselves every time someone wants to either latch on or take what is ours. We're
And
tired of running from it. So we're putting our foot in our boots down and we're saying, hey, wait a minute. You guys can't take credit for hip hop. This is ours. This is technically ours from the get go. This is born from the ghettos of Bronx. This is born in the ghettos of the hoods of the Bronx by black people who were deprived economic opportunities in the inner cities. had nothing to do with no damn Puerto Ricans, and it sure the hell didn't have nothing to do with no damn Jamaicans
Okay,
or
but wait a
Caribbean
minute. But
folk.
wait a minute. If they'll take it, if the thing is, if they omit your presence, it don't matter how they trying to take it. The fact that that's the running, that's the running theme with every other people who ain't us. They're
We
quick
admitted
to
their presence,
they're
or we allowed their presence.
we permit it. We look, niggas
Right.
love
So
everybody
if
except
I
niggas.
so if I
So
invite you into my house, that don't mean that's your house now.
okay, but wait a minute.
You're a guest.
How much of your home do you believe is yours? You know what I'm saying? Wait a minute.
Bruh, if I
You
give
said
you a home, hold on. If you
you
don't
say
have
they
a
take
home,
something and then we create something, right? It's not that they take and then that we create. Is that our lives, the way that we're lived, we're in constant creation. We don't create out of reaction. We create because that's just our standard, homie.
okay, we got to go backwards. Like I said, if I invite you into my house, it's still my house. You
Okay.
don't get to tell me that that's your house because you lived there for 3 years and I allowed you to live there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, then,
That
then
makes
that's
sense.
my
But
point.
hold
That's
up.
the only point.
But then they show up with a half a piece of gold bar, and you're like, all right, fuck these kids. Here, take the house.
I don't think people did that. I don't think that was hip hop.
I mean, okay, but no, check it out. Who is it? Who is it? Or Schmall hats, right? You remember them motherfuckers? Who was it that they doing the
The
business with?
You,
business
Who,
side,
who,
but the culture of hip hop. You're
okay,
talking about business and culture.
so who you think is trying to drive the
Actual,
culture? Then really, you don't think Schmall hats is trying to drive the culture, bro? Really,
it's the schmar hats that are telling these Latinos and these other
Schmall
groups to
hats.
try to call this, and we're like, nah, you didn't invent none of this shit.
But that's the thing. That's not how culture is planted. It's not planted by your words. It's planted by the way that you live
oh my
it.
God.
And
If you
we
live,
have lived it.
nah, we're not. No, look, black people ain't living this shit as ours. It's just words. It's just politics. Motherfuckers like to give talking points to them. Your culture is you. Our culture is us. We shouldn't have to explain no politics and no timelines and none of that shit. If a
Yeah,
motherfucker
we
is on it,
should.
they need
Yeah,
to
we
get
should.
off it.
They'll explain it. No, 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 no. Hold on.
What
Time
the fuck
out.
we need to explain shit?
People,
Your culture
people,
is
when you
you.
talk to people about their culture, like if I talk to a Mexican right now about the culture of his people, he's gonna give me a timeline. He's gonna give me, well, the Aztecs this and da da da. That's back in the day. That's a
That,
timeline.
Black
I
So
people
you
let's
don't
know
need
what
stop
to
that
do
playing
that
that.
is a
semantics
Black
direct
people
here.
don't
fucking
need to
fact.
do that. The
Let,
whole world eat off of us and know us. These motherfuckers just need to get right. That's all it is.
what?
They don't need. They
Nah,
don't.
you
They
know
need
what?
to
No,
need to learn
I got to
how.
give it to him. I got to give it to him because we have to have a certain level of pride in our shit, and we have to be able to say this is what we did because there's too many other individuals out here claiming the shit that we did. When you do
Right.
talk to these individuals in these other countries,
Look at
they
this
are
shit.
capable of giving you a timeline. They are capable of telling you, well, my
Right.
uncle was involved with this. My dad was here. We did this and this, and they say it with such pride and exuberance. But when you talk about what black people did, you always have a white person co-opting it
Who don't
because
Right.
know
we're
the
not
nigga
able to run
timeline
back.
when it comes to culture? Who don't know our timeline?
A
It's
lot of
not
people
about who
don't.
don't know our timeline. It's about who's trying to come in and repossess our timeline. And that's happening on a consistent basis. And you can't say that it's not.
A
Okay, yeah, but
lot of these other groups,
if you don't hold your nuts to your own, then your shit gonna get took. That's
son,
how the shit
son,
work.
son. A lot of these other groups don't even know about redlining. They don't even know what that is. They don't know, like when black people mention redlining to a lot of these Nigerians and Jamaicans when they don't know what the hell that is. They don't know what redlining, block busting. They don't know nothing about that. They don't know about that part of our culture. They don't know about that
The,
part of the
the
timeline.
large
They think
majority
that
of people
literally,
as a whole don't know about redlining. Now, white people know about redlining, but they know it by different words and different phrases, and they'll
right,
have a subtlety put onto it that describes it in a kinder light, and that is part of
right.
the problem with our culture. They will always talk about well, they didn't want black people there, but they were bigots. Oh, you mean redlining? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. You motherfuckers are sick.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Toso? Oh, you mean the terrorist attack?
They were
Well, I wouldn't
functional
call it a
services.
terrorist attack. It was a misunderstanding. No, it was a terrorist attack. You bombed black businesses. Yes.
Nah,
You
it was a
killed
devilish
people.
massacre. That's what it was. It was a devilish
No, it was a
massacre.
terrorist attack. That's a
But
terrorist attack.
Homie, I'm from North Tulsa, cuz.
Well, then you need to
It was
call that a
it was
terrorist
a
attack. Don't say
devilish
massacre. Don't
it
say
was a
murder.
devilish massacre. Cause this is the thing. Y'all like to use those political words, and that's where shit get all fucked up. Y'all don't keep things human. You know what I'm
You
talking
say
about?
massacre, that could be shit. That could be a drive-by shooting. Oh, a massacre. Oh,
Oh no, 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 no.
Let me
Okay,
say
no,
this.
no.
you say a terrorist attack.
When you say massacre, you get into the intentionality of the person. You're getting into character. It's not just into what they did and how they did it. We're talking the intention, right? So yeah, words have meanings, but I think people tend to hyper objectify things for the sake of politics so that it sounds good in an argument when you have specific what I'm saying, talking points and shit. But this shit ain't debate. People's culture ain't debate, because culture is the way that you life through reality, right? Culture isn't just the way you dress or the way you speak or nothing. Culture is the way that you be within life. That shit has deep meaning to it. But to black people, most of the time they're tending to try to operate within this fucking citizenry of, what I'm saying, the American pamphlet dream that
Hmm.
they try to sell everybody. And so not understanding that you're connecting the spirit of your people onto this citizenry and selling whatever in hopes to gain, some extra ground, because they show that, okay, this has either some slight economic opportunity for you, major for us, but also control. And you know what I'm saying, they get to revamp their entire industries whenever a black element of culture is imbued within it. I mean, it's like, dude, we are living social catalysts. That's that, you know what I'm saying, that this is why everything is so innovative to everyone when they view us just doing us. We're not doing us, what I'm saying, trying to be the best at anything. Most of the time we just, what I'm saying, chilling, having fun, rocking, what I'm saying, kicking it. But the way that we harmonize, the way that we create is, what I'm saying, a lot more potent than everyone. That's why, when you say that, oh, they took this and we did this, it wasn't no reaction to it. We are constantly always creating culture. Always. We're living fucking culture.
So,
We're fucking cultural seasoning to the entirety of this stale ass fucking world.
so let me say
And
this,
I
right?
agree with
This is
you.
a pro trip for a lot of people who are trying to get on their passport life and everything else, right? I've traveled a lot of countries. One of the first things that I realized when I've traveled these other countries is you start speaking to the individuals who are out here asking for money. I'm not talking about the motherfuckers trying to trick you into some silly shit. Like, it's a motherfucker on the side of the road who is literally indigent, right? And you give him some change. You just have a conversation with them. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna be real happy that you treat them as a human being and that you're giving them a little money to survive off of. They're gonna start dropping the jewels, right? And when you start having conversations with these motherfuckers in these countries where they're indigent, they can. It's the oddest shit ever. These motherfuckers can provide you with complete historical timeline of everything going on, but they can also tell you what's going on in the present state, because 9 times out of 10, just like you, when you are out walking around, you may see a homeless person, but you choose to ignore them. But that homeless person is in your business and seeing what the fuck's going around in the community. They know what the fuck's going on. This is why I had these
Yeah.
conversations with them, because they put you up on game. And when you have a conversation with a homeless person, they know a surprising amount of information about their country, their history, and their timeline. When you have a conversation with a motherfucker in America about anything, these motherfuckers don't know shit beyond the Kardashians or what happened on a reality TV show.
Or religion. That go deep into that. But when it comes to the affairs of a society, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, this is why culture, this is why I don't think that, we say white supremacy or racism or whatever. I just look at the plain pilgrim, right? I don't think that they can help themselves, because obviously they have a problem creating harmonious cultures on their own. So as far as it goes with them being, what I'm saying, culture vultures or swiping cultures, doing appropriation, I don't think they can help it. I really don't.
They can
I
help,
mean,
but they've not been checked. That's the problem.
It
no, no,
has
no.
been
But the
shared.
thing is, they do this to everyone's culture.
Yeah. because they've not been checked. Who do you know that is not a who do you know that is of a dark skin that has really checked these white folks and had these motherfuckers shook? Other than what, Sentinel Island? These white folks not to fuck with Sentinel Island. They don't get up on that motherfucker at all. They don't approach that bitch. They stay far along the shoreline.
For them to get that type of checking, it would have to be the same way that, you know what I'm saying, the Arabs do with the image of Allah and all that. If you paint the, what they say, if you draw the prophet and all that, them motherfuckers
Yeah,
come rocking,
they get to work on your ass. They get to work on your ass, and that's a
the
religious
only way
thing.
you're going to put that in
More
check.
so,
Remember, they work off. They say they work off of curiosity, the same way that these motherfuckers have tried to touch, you know what I'm saying, some black hair. Like just reaching the fuck out. Oh, I just had to. Nah, motherfucker, you didn't.
You know how many times I've had a motherfucker try and feel my hair without me asking? Just reach out, like, bitch, what are you doing?
No, not just a motherfucker. Not just a motherfucker. A pack of wood. Don't nobody else do that shit but them.
I just wanted to touch. Can I? No, bitch, no. No. Oh,
You can do these
okay,
things.
yeah. Good.
Yeah.
But my thing is, we got to be more proud and devoted to our history, because there's too many.
Yes.
Okay, I'll put it like this: how many black coat of arms have you seen?
I have not seen one.
But we have family lineages, and there's black coat of arms, but motherfuckers ain't running around with it on their arms and on their shoulders and everything else.
Right.
But there's no pride in their country. If you go talk to a white person about their history, they will tell you about the magicness of their history. If you go talk to a black person about their history, they'll immediately speed past their black history and go right into the white folks.
Mm. I mean, well, the thing is, that's the elephant in the room. The thing is, that's what needs to be handled. If we're really going to dive into an organic perspective and analysis of our contributions to America, then America has to be America to us. America don't feel like the America does not feel like the America that the United States is purporting that this motherfucker is. Until that happens, I don't think black people can actually be really serious with it and honest. You know, like, shout out to Chris Rock. What'd he say? You know, it's the uncle that sent you to college, but molested you. So it's like, you know what I mean? What the fuck? You always that sting can't be there for the type of embracing and love and connect and integrationality that these motherfuckers is, you know what I'm saying, hoping for.
So here's where I'm at with it, right? I'm a proud black American. I'm an American, right? And when I say I'm an American, I'm not looking at the dynamics of what white people folks have done and they've disavowed, pretended it's not happened, and don't acknowledge that. You know what? That comes with my history. But I'm a black American because my people have thrived in this culture, in this economy, in this place, and have made something of ourselves that the whole world knows us. You can't go no square inch on this world and they've not heard of hip hop. You can't go no square inch on this world and they don't know black dances. You can't go nowhere on this world and they don't know Michael Jackson, right? You can go to a third world country in the middle of nowhere. These motherfuckers are no beat it.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So I take pride in that.
But is that accepted as black culture, or has it been commodified to the point where it's just received as American culture? And then subconsciously, when these motherfuckers around the world say America, they see pilgrims. They don't see us.
So in the same vein to where we say nigga and it's a reclaimed situation, this is what America is. And this is what has to be spread throughout the community. I'm an American. I'm an American because my grandfather was here. My grandfather was the first black person who was a station manager for Delta. He put in work. He hung out with A.G. Gaston. He was kicking it. I have pride in that. My grandfather was out here kicking it with Martin Luther King and running hoes. As wild as that sounds, I have pride in that. You understand what I'm saying?
He was one of the Black Titans, huh?
Right. So if you run through my family tree, I have pride in what the black folks in my family have done. But there's too many black folks in my community that have zero pride in the aspects of America because they don't want to claim the bad shit. No, I'm gonna claim the bad shit because they couldn't do the bad shit without disavowing what black people have done.
I think what it is, we got to have pride in our blackness to such a degree first, and then America comes second.
Yeah.
And if it has to be that, it has to be that. But there would not have been a civil war if it wasn't about black people. The Civil War would not have been won by the North if it wasn't
Right.
for black people. So we have to have that conversation. The South was the art of war motherfuckers. These are Sun Tzu niggas. They out there doing kung fu and karate on the battlefield. They whooping everybody ass.
Yeah.
Black folks escaped, crossed them lines, and fucked them up.
Yeah.
That's why all these white folks is running around here with the Confederate flags. They can't believe niggas came and whooped their ass. If you ask a motherfucker right now who is over the age of 60, and they are dedicated to the church, and you talk about the Haitian Revolution or Haiti in general, what do they bring up? Oh, well, they full of voodoo. Ain't their national religion voodoo? Don't they? Because they've been programmed via the white
Yeah,
people
that's a drone. That's a good slave right there. Yeah, and it's going to
right.
happen.
Mhm.
It's going to happen. But this is the thing, though. If we tied that, okay, so look, America seems to have a problem with black people's blackness, right? Can we admit that?
Oh, okay, perfect.
Okay, America has a problem with black people's blackness,
Yep.
and black people tend to carry on that issue about their own blackness. So I think that I think what it is that we acknowledge it to ourselves, and then in the aspect of, let's say, the caste system nationalization that happens with just participating in this bitch, right? The whole racial thing. Okay, boom, you got that, right? But if it already shows that it doesn't want us to have us, how are we going to claim it before we have us? You know what I'm saying? As long as America got an issue with my blackness, hey, fuck America and its mama. You know what I'm talking about? Um,
I don't.
Blackness.
Well,
I
that's
don't think that the issue is the blackness per se. I think it's being black. It's the issue, the actual skin color. If if a white person that was proud of their whiteness woke up tomorrow and they were black, they probably run into the street and get hit by a bus.
White like me. Remember that
Mhm.
movie that was out in
That
the
was
'80s that they
interesting
can't do
flick.
now? White like me. It was a white dude. He had some tan and shit, and this motherfucker showed up for
well,
a class, and it was a Black History class, and he was shocked, but he was already tanned, and he set his ass in the class, and he learned all the shit about Black culture because he was tanned. The shit is if you snuck into some white folks' bathroom and you turned their body wash into some tanning agents, white folks would have a fucking. It would be a national emergency.
well, see, this is the reason why
Yo,
a lot
why
of a
y'all think
lot of
they
these
hate that so
groups and
much?
white people are so triggered by the word foundational Black American because when Black people start redefining based off of lineage and location what they are, a lot of white people were triggered when black people started referring to themselves as either foundational Black American or African descendants of slaves, because
Yep.
we're letting the world know that, listen, we identify as what happened to us here, location. We are the foundation, literally, of the American economy
But
through
it
slavery.
wasn't just white folks. It was the Caribbean niggas.
Right,
It
right,
was
everyone. And we get it.
the
Right, right.
Hispanic niggas.
I'm just saying he son said he was talking about the white folks and how they feel about he used the word America, but we all know America means white folks, right? So he was talking about how America feels about blackness. And I'm like, look, that's why they're triggered by this whole foundational Black American identity mixed with the reparations discussion. Because we're like, well, look, we're not like the mainland Africans and the Caribbeans that come over here. Our history is unique. What happened
Right.
to us over here is unique, and what we are asking for is unique due to that history. So don't try to group us all in and say, well, you're all technically Black or African or Black American. No, 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 no.
Okay, but
This is what happened to us over here. You
let's
need to
get back
pay for this.
let's get back to the culture perspective of it though, because so the reparations, right? we understand that. All right, that's something that was presented by the state, right? Black people didn't start off initiating, saying requesting it or anything. The state, it was something that the state presented in the whole equation of it. All right, well, if you think about it, that's government, right? But this nation has to think about two different minds when it does something. It has its government, has its government mind, right? And it also has a tribal mind. And the tribal mind is connected to white folks. And the
Okay.
culture of how this sector is going to take this motion. It's going to take this movement. And with something being done not on their behalf. Right. Now, saying shout out to Kanye West, saying with the whole White Lives Matter shit. The fact that, these people started saying White Lives Matter and everything was in contention of, BLM, right? If you think about it, the fact that all the black people were just saying, that group, my life matters. Well, they're showing you to such a degree, you're not even permitted to say your life matters. Even if it was subconscious to that degree to where they actually created entire other organizations. All life matter, white life matter, blue life matter. Just because these black people said their life matters. What is the human connection of that? Not necessarily what can be done legislative wise. Well, there's humans that's pulling these buttons. That's humans that's pulling these levers. And more than likely, they're going to be white humans connected to that tribal perspective of value of blackness and black people. You know what I'm talking about? So I mean, I don't understand the call to it if everyone goes along with the status quo of where your value or the worth setting of your community is, and everyone non-white who ain't FBA.
So your argument is that technically chattel slavery wouldn't have ended in this country if it wasn't for these quote unquote white people pulling levers.
No, that ain't what ended it. What ended it was that they found a new way to enslave motherfuckers. Okay, chattel slavery.
Right. With the American dollar, right? With the American dollar.
It got shifted into another slavery. So
right.
my thing is our community getting the understanding that and solidifying the understanding that ultimately these people want to put you in positions that enslave you. This is what your value is to this system, no matter how you present yourself, economic wise, educational wise, whatever. That they're seeking to get you in a position to ultimately where the system can feed off of you as if you are enslaved.
So I what I want to do is I want to very much clean up this conversation piece of where the direction it went. Right. So the Civil War was about money. Right. So let's be very clear on that. The Civil War was about taxing the South for the simple fact that they had slaves, because you have a dynamic of a country and you have people, and people, black people, were what was it, 1/5 of a human, or it was 1/24 of a human? It was a fraction of a human, but
3/5.
3/5 of a human. So being that we're 3/5 of a human, regardless of us being 3/5 of a human, that number still adds up, and we are still accounted for in terms of taxes and everything else, industry. So in the North had slaves, the North got rid of the slaves, and they wanted to tax the South. So that whole war was about money. And when that war was looking ill for the North, that is when Abraham Lincoln, he wrote a letter to one of the, I believe it was the governor of, I want to say Illinois, it was a Midwest governor. And he said, listen, I don't want to let these niggas be free.
Jebediah, you're going to have to release some of these niggers.
I don't want to let these niggas be free, but we getting our ass kicked, and I'm paraphrasing, we getting our ass kicked, but we got to really let some of these niggas go because we need the help. Right. So this is what the dynamic was. Prior to that, the original 13th Amendment was going to make slavery infinite. Like that, like you were slave, that's in the discussion.
There you go.
It needs to be talked about, right? But this is all a money play. So they freed us based on that. And then what was the next thing? It was separate, but quote unquote equal. even though it wasn't equal, right? So that's that dynamic there. But they try to sugarcoat it and let it be known as, well, Abraham Lincoln was just a gentle soul. He wanted these Africans free. No, that's not what the fuck it was. So we got to have that conversation first and foremost. Slavery was not to just altruistically release the slavers or the slaves. This was to penalize the South from separating. So then let's have that understood first and foremost.
And to have the captains of industry have a new labor force under the American dollar in the North.
There you go. So we get right back to the worth. We get
If
right back to the
the
worth
South
of the
was like,
people.
fuck it, we'll pay the tax, we'd still be slaves.
Exactly. And the fact that the way that these people operate with
Yeah, but
us
see, you're
and
missing
with our
one.
culture.
Hold on, you're missing one important thing that happened: Haiti. And see, the South can say, the South knew that it was coming to an end. They just didn't want to accept it. The North figured it
No,
out. The North,
no.
yes, the North saw the writing
Again,
on the wall. Hold on, brother. Let me finish. The North saw the writing on the wall. They was like, look, what happened in Haiti and with the selling of the Louisiana Purchase by the French, because remember, when the France lost in Haiti, they sold the Louisiana Purchase. They were like, look, this shit cannot happen here because remember, the slave revolts were already happening in the South. Slaves were overrunning plantations, killing their masters. This is what they don't tell you in the history books. Okay?
very true.
This shit was going
Very
on
true.
all over the
Yeah.
South, and they knew they had to do something. So the North, being the captains of industry, having a different mindset, they was like, wait a minute. Why don't we have a proxy war? Have the blacks escape, come fight up here for us. And then we have them work in our new automated factories. We'll pay them a wage under the American dollar. We don't have to give them as much as a white person, but we'll give them a wage to make them think that they're part of American society. They'll become good little Negroes. They don't have to worry about being whipped or hanged or thrown in a jail or whatever, like the South is doing it. It was the perfect selling plan
Yeah,
to
sound like a
keep
So
good deal.
niggas still under it. So it had nothing to do with technically what you were saying about they could not keep these people in chattel slavery forever. They had to figure out something, and that was the American dollar
Okay, but
labor
wait a minute.
force.
Wait a minute. You continue to say chattel slavery. The thing is, it's the worth of the people. What do these people who are non-white and non-us think is the worth of black people if all they got to do is just put us on to be us? All they have to do is act like us, talk like us. Like what are we? What is the sustenance of us as a people? If you God
what?
damn,
Let me just run it back. When 1804, right? 1804 was when the Haitian Revolution ended. Correct?
Correct. Yes.
huh?
When was Civil War?
I think it was in the
Like
8,
1860 something.
1860. No, that's when the emancipation was. Yeah, I
65.
forgot.
But go ahead.
I think it was 65. I think.
Okay,
I
so
think.
so
I
we
think it
know,
was 65.
so we know, just like America knew at the time, or they had the ideology of these niggas can't do that here. Yes, there was revolts, there was things going on, but in a larger aspect of everything, this was a dollar issue. The dollar issue was you motherfuckers have a wealth of industry going on in the South. You need to pay for that. That is the only reason that the Civil War happened. It wasn't a dynamic of we need to fight a proxy war in order to create. No, the South legitimately seceded from the North. This wasn't well, we gonna play pity pat and everything. No, the South was like, fuck you, we're not paying this tax. Again, research this. The original 13th Amendment was going to make slaves permanently to the end of time, to your death, a slave. There's no getting out of that. There's no buying your way. No, motherfucker, you're a slave. So that has to be understood. the dynamic of slavery was going to be permanent. The only reason that the Civil War was fought was because the South fought over states' rights. If you talk to a redneck, they will tell you. They can't explain why. They just tell you it was over states' rights. It was states' rights. Yeah, because the states didn't want to pay the fucking taxes on having slaves. Individuals there that were making more money for free than the cotton gin and all the shit that was happening all around the country and making that was mechanizing the workforce. So you have to take that in consideration. The dynamic between the South and the North was only a money issue. And when the North was getting their ass kicked, that's why Lincoln wrote that letter and said, listen, I don't want to do this shit, but we got to set some lines. Because when we start taking cities, the slaves have to know to run their ass over to this line. Now we can put them on the front line and have them fight and not lose white lives.
Okay, so let's tie this into the context. How does this fit in the context? I mean, because this is the thing.
So you're saying literally that you're saying that it wouldn't have been plausible or even fathomable that if the South paid the tax, that African Americans would have had a revolt in the South.
If no, I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, regardless of the revolt or not, America is just like any other pig-headed white country. Fuck you. We're gonna be able to beat you. That's what they think. Now, it could have went a whole different way. We could be running these motherfuckers and making them slaves. It could be a whole completely different way. But at a certain point, it turned this corner, and we're at where we're at now.
Okay, so
Right.
so when you're talking culture, right? Let's just assume that that's their culture. You know how pilgrims would put up their Confederate flag and be like, all right, it's not hate, it's her culture or whatever. And they say, well, it's a culture of hate, and it's like, all right, well, why is it that we won't accept that? Why is it that we want them to change? How is it that we think they can change from such a mindset?
Because niggas won't accept it. Niggas talk with 45-year-old white individuals and convince them niggas ain't that bad. And that's part of the fucking problem. It's late in the day. At 45 fucking years old, I'm not finna convince you of shit you don't already know. You've already gotten into your head. There's an individual, he went on the Joe Rogan podcast. That's the first reason I knew him. I think his name is Daryl Davis or Daryl Dixon. He's talked to and convinced a whole white supremacists out of being Ku Klux Klan members. How did he do that? He had legitimate conversations with them and was their friend, and he was their nigger friend, and he was broke. I don't have time for all that shit. Like, you motherfuckers is just racist. That's what it is. But one of the things that he said that blew my fucking mind was when they recruit these individuals, they have a conversation with them and they say, hey, listen, you're poor. Yeah, you shouldn't be that because you're white and these niggas are out here just as poor as you. You shouldn't be as poor as the niggas. The niggas are stealing your jobs. The niggas are doing this. The Mexicans, the Latinos, and the Jews. And they convince them on this wave of I'm superior, but I'm not superior because these others are stopping me from being great. And this is what the whole greatness of white supremacy is.
They make the other colored people be the Judas goat in this inner class war that they've always been having amongst themselves. They've always had class wars, but what they did was insert colored peoples, if lack of a better term, as a straw man. You know what I'm saying, within that stratification of their class wars. So that's why, but the thing is, they run over them pilgrims. It's like they run over everybody else. So it's more along the line of the pilgrims. They understand it's some bullshit, but they assist them. So that's more along the line of something that's tribal, and I think that's the bonding that we're supposed to be focusing upon. I can understand what ADOS and what FBA, is trying to do and everything, but it seemed like y'all trying to do it primarily for the politics and not for the sake of the village actually becoming the people into their very selves. Like if there was no other motherfucking people around and you had to solidify, it seems to be like some type of a gimmick or some type of some type of economic strategy. And it's like, no, wait a minute. The worth of the people is fucked up on, spiritual level. And ain't no religion gonna fix that shit. The only thing that fixes that is an ongoing culture that is able to develop and be enriching to those people. But anything that we create that is enriching, it is not permitted to stay within the motherfucking community. You know what I'm saying? You got
I
other
agree
people.
with that.
Well, I would disagree because it's the FBA people who are speaking up again about African American accomplishments in this country, which technically is a part of our culture. We're the only ones that are addressing these things in these platforms where these other groups are trying to take
And
credit and knock
speaking them to
down
who?
our,
Speaking them to
huh?
who? Speaking them to who?
It's
White
the
folks and everything else.
FBA groups and the the African descendant of slaves, the ADOS groups that
Right.
are talking
And
about
who are they speaking to? Are they
So
who? What are these other
I
these
groups
other
understand
speaking
both
to?
sides of this
groups.
conversation. So let me lay it out like this, right? You have a group of individuals who are rising up, and the current new term is FBA. This is like Negro, colored, black, etc. Right? All throughout the decade, right? So FBA, it was FBA. That's what the sentencing thing is.
Yo, you
FBA,
Morgan
and then
hard,
there's
huh?
Secure the Tribe. Can you hear me now? How about
Yeah,
now?
it was messing with you. Yeah, now we can hear it. It was messing with you. Go ahead.
But yeah, so like I said, I understand both sides of the coin, right? So at this point, we're at a dynamic to where we're pushing FBA, Black American Descendants of Slaves. Let's just run it at that, right? Black Descendants of Slaves, FBA, ADOS, Secure the Tribe, which is freedmen, whatever you want to call it, right? We're here in this dynamic. This is a small percentage of Black people who are proud in what they are. I remember being jealous of the dynamic. I had Puerto Rican friends who were like, "Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican." They had a flag in their car. They was driving around. It wasn't no black. I'm a nigga flag. It wasn't there. I'm Jamaican. They was driving around. Oh yeah, we got that. I had none of that. Although it was there the entire time, I had none of that. And these other individuals and cultures tried to shine on us, even though they was eating off of us. Now we're in a space to where it's like FBA. What is that? Yeah, I'm the nigga that eat fried chicken. I had to have this conversation the other day. Bitch told me the best fried chicken she ever had in her life was Korean. You, you know
Talk.
where that came from,
Talk.
right?
She had
Huh?
talk.
Well,
That's what I
yeah,
want.
you know where that came from, right? From Korea. No, motherfucker, that came from America. Oh, yeah, that's why that fried chicken is so fucking good. But our culture is taken and extracting and pulled to everybody else. But now that we're out here wearing the flag and we're the bearers of this culture, it's seen as funny and divisive. But if we hold up this
Right.
flag, we come to an understanding that we are a culture on its own. We've had a great influence on the world. Now that we are here and we're standing up for ourselves, motherfuckers got to come to reckon with that. Do you know how difficult it is to admit that everything that you love is built by a FBA? I like listening to rock and roll. Niggas made that. Huh? Yeah, FBA. I'm different. I listen to grunge. Yeah, black folks made that. Well, I listen to blues. Yeah, black folks. You wouldn't have none of
Right.
this shit without black folks. So you got to understand, we're coming up and standing up and saying our culture is this, and motherfuckers are having a problem with it because they were previously able to accept it as their own culture and say that my people did this. But now that you have a black root to it, it's a problem.
Mm.
So, yeah, I understand the dynamic of standing up and saying that my people did this because it comes with a whole lot of weight, whether it's directly or indirectly, internally, accidentally, whatever the case is. Now we have a starting point to go, yeah, no, my people's FBA. And I'm saying this from an individual who's married to an African. I'm teaching this shit to my son so that when motherfuckers say some slick shit to him, oh, well, you listen to Afro beats, you know where that came from, right? Oh, but
Yeah.
no, you know where that came from. You know when we sit down and we have fried chicken from KFC, which is every fucking continent. Do you know when you go to South America, KFC is a fucking a 3-4 star restaurant? Them
That's
secret
a
herbs and
point.
spices stolen from a nigga
Yeah.
is a
Mhm.
fancy ass restaurant, but they'll never admit that.
But see, okay, so the thing is the worth that the people are supposed to have, right? Like me personally, I'm an inadvertent supremacist. So I got my work shit handled. You know what I'm saying? But and personally, I think that's how so we actually should be rocking. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't be rocking on some attempting to participate with everyone. If you're the standard, and if you easily can set yourself as the standard, shout out Kanye. Um, what are you? You know, he projects himself to God. I'm a god. You know what I'm saying? I said people would think he crazy and shit, but wait a minute. I tell people all the time, every goal that this motherfucker set for himself, people think it's way out there. But this motherfucker's achieves it. And then he
Who?
shifts the industry.
Who?
Okay, if he ain't a genius, then what is he then?
Who? Kanye?
Kanye. If he ain't a genius, then what is he?
Yeah, but you're
That's
so
some nigga
enlightened,
shit.
but then
That's some
you're
nigga shit, though.
enlightened. You're
Kanye's a
enlightened,
genius.
but then you go and you talk to the white supremacist Tucker. Like what? Like I
Yeah,
don't like this
yeah.
dude does this dude will be going right and then just do a sharp left out of nowhere. I'm like, bro,
Yes, he's
which
playing
way
the
you
same
go?
game they're playing. He's playing the
I'm
same
not
game
playing
they're
the
playing.
game. I
Nobody,
know what's up. I
yeah,
know what's up. I
nobody,
know who the
No,
nobody
no,
say,
enemy
no.
is, and
nobody say you
I,
have
it's the
to.
same
I,
boogeyman that's been there ever since we've been brought
I,
here.
I said the same thing that Rogan
I'm not
said.
confused.
Uh, Kanye is a genius. Kanye is a genius. Kanye is going to be remembered as a legend,
Yep.
regardless of his follies, right? I'm sure a lot of the legends, the people that we speak on, like I have a big issue with MLK, but he's remembered as a legend. He had follies in his time. People looked at him sideways, like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Right? Kanye did that White Lives Matter shit, in my opinion, on some like irony type shit. But his dumbass
Mhm.
was in a manic episode and he brought on fucking goofy ass Candace Owens. So Candace Owens took that and ran with it. Nigga, you would have been cold if you had White Lives Matter and Candace Owens wasn't there. Because now this is irony. I'm putting this up here because you motherfuckers are talking about it. Now I'm selling a whole bunch of my shit and I'm pointing out the fact that White Lives Matter to you goofballs. But the reality is Black Lives because BLM is a goofball organization. Let's just
Right.
call a spade a spade. But
Right.
he
Right.
said this shit and he's doing this dynamic to be on something on the contrary and make a statement. Like Samuel Clemens, the motherfucker who wrote Tom Huck Sawyer or Huck Finn and
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
Sawyer, right? But
Yeah.
but because he
Mark Twain.
has Candace Owens on here. Candace Owens probably talking, yeah, go and Tucker Carlson. Now he looks like a complete fucking retard. His message was subverted by the white supremacists. This is an
Nah,
individual who's
nah.
come out here.
He don't look like a retard because I mean the thing is what it does it calls the accountability of whiteness to the table. Most of the time you can't talk about whiteness, right?
Huh?
You can't talk about it. Most of the time people talk about white supremacists or they talk about racism and whiteness just happens to be associated with it as opposed to, you know what I'm saying, interwoven within it. Now you get to talk about whiteness and this and this subjectivity to white people. Most of the time you can't even talk about them as a group. This is genius. And
But
because the whole thing is
I,
but he
with
wasn't talking about white people on Tucker Carlson. He was damn near throwing black people under the damn bus. The
that's
whole
all right.
freaking
yeah,
Look,
he,
look, look, the thing
listen. I
is
didn't
you
see the
can
Tucker Carlson
now
what
interview.
have a
accountability of white people did
conversation.
he bring up on Tucker
It's not
Carlson?
about him bringing them up. It's about us bringing them up. You can now have the conversation. That's the only thing.
We've been having a
I didn't see the
conversation.
Tucker Carlson interview, so I can't speak to that.
People ain't been having
But
that
I fully
conversation about these
believe
children.
he was in his manicness and he got caught slipping because he's an individual who's bipolar and is everywhere else. He's up and down. He does all this foolishness. But
He
there's some
disruptive,
shit
and that's
that
exactly
Kanye
what
has
it is.
said. Kanye has said some shit that is powerful in a motherfucker, and black people have freaked the fuck out.
Yeah,
Slavery was a choice. I've never heard truer fucking words. Slavery was a
fact.
legitimate fucking choice. We have documented history of slave ships with tribes of Africans on there, and these niggas fought, did everything, and jumped off the fucking boat. Why? Because
Mhm.
they didn't want to be slaves. Now you telling me slavery it wasn't a choice. They had to do this shit. Nigga, if a motherfucker kick in your door and tell you that you finna work for the rest of your life, are you gonna
Mhm.
fight? Are you gonna do some shit? Or are you just gonna lay down and take it?
What's your
I'm not
worth?
finna lay down and
So
take the shit.
that's that. By him saying slavery was a choice is like saying, well, here's a circumstance that you cannot help, but it's still your fault. So white people are excused for it. Like if I put a gun to your head and you don't react to stop me from having that gun to your head or whatever, and I take your jewelry, oh, it's your fault. You made a choice instead of trying to grab the
Okay,
gun
so
like an idiot and getting shot in the head.
No, that's
Like
what you're
that's
supposed to
dumb.
do. No, you're supposed to grab the gun because
No,
you're
you're
supposed to.
not. No,
no,
you're
Yes, you
not. That
are.
would be a dumb.
no,
No.
That's
Hold
a
on,
dumb
wait. I'm gonna tell you
choice.
why. I'm gonna
That's
tell
a
you
dumb
why.
choice.
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because you should assume that you're dead anyway.
That's
You
stupid
should
because there's
assume that
people
you're
that
dead
have been
anyway.
give you a
robbed
You should
prime
assume
and
that you're
example.
have
dead anyway, and you
no,
bank on your worth,
So
homie.
no,
God
my
damn,
father's from
this
the
is the
crack
issue
no.
that
era in the
black people
'80s,
have.
right? My father's from the crack era in the '80s, right? This is prime story of this, some shit he told me way back in the day. He said he was driving around in his he had a truck that he chopped the top off of, and it had a car phone in it. So he flossed it. He big money in San Diego, and he got caught in L.A. acting. And the motherfuckers pulled him over, and they was like, "Listen, nigga, this is my car." They got in the car and they said, "Drive into the alleyway." He told him, "You're gonna have to shoot me right here."
In the
Gun to
fucking
his head. You're gonna have to shoot me right here, because if
But
they
look
took
at
him
what he
into the
was
alley,
said. But
say
that's
what?
different. That's different. He gave you he said
What's
a
different from a
circumstance
gun to your
where
head telling you that you're gonna do some shit?
as soon as he told you we're gonna drive into the alleyway, he's basically telling you I'm gonna kill you. So that's different.
Okay.
Where
So
black
what's the
people are
difference?
still here.
What?
Black
Tell me what the difference is
I'm gonna tell
from
you the
get
difference
on
right
this boat.
now.
Tell me
We're
what the
still
difference is from
here.
get on this boat.
We're still here in America. We're
Luckily,
alive. No, not
but a lot
luck.
of people,
Not luck. There's no such thing as
but
luck.
a,
Luck cannot
but
be
no,
duplicated, sir.
okay.
Luck
Well,
cannot be
all right,
duplicated.
we'll take luck. We'll take luck out of the equation. How many black people didn't make that voyage over here? How many black people didn't make that life
How many
in
black
here?
people are here today? That's a better question. We're
How
here.
many
We
black
are
people under?
resilient.
Yeah, correct. And if we did like the Native Americans did and said fuck that, we ain't going, and they said we can't enslave these niggas, how many black people would be in Africa living the good life or
You can
some
ask the
semblance
Native
of?
Americans that same question. They fought back and look what happened to them. They're still enslaved. They're still underneath the thumb of the white government. They still haven't gotten their lands back. The point that I'm making to you is that
The white Americans
I,
decided to deal with these white folks time after time. So we're talking about two different scenarios. But let's just stick with what we're talking about, right? If you put a gun,
you bargain.
now,
You was bargain. You gotta. Hello.
if if I walk into your house and I tell
All
you,
right.
get in my car, we're gonna go somewhere, and you fight me, and it's become known that this house on the block is a problem if you try to do XYZ onto, what becomes of your house? It becomes a house I avoid, right or wrong.
Well, we've been doing that in freaking Africa. You think the Africans didn't put up a fight when they first got there? Of course they did.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a prime example. Have you heard of Sentinel
Yes,
oh
I heard of
wow.
North Sentinel Island. Yes.
Has Sentinel Island been conquered?
No.
Are white people capable of just walking on the shores of Sentinel Island?
They could bomb it right now if they want to.
I didn't ask you. I asked you if you were capable of walking on the shores of Sentinel Island.
They don't go there because there's no need to go there.
No, there's not a no need to go there. There's a specific reason they don't go there. Why is that reason they don't go there?
They've been attacked every time they've tried to come there.
So, i.e., slavery is a choice.
No, there's no need to go there. It's a freaking
There's
island.
no
It's
need to go
small.
there because
There's
these
no need
motherfuckers
to
will
go.
fight to the death
No,
every
it's
time they
not,
get on
dude.
that
They
fucking
couldn't,
island.
dude. Come on now. They could bomb. They could send an F-15 over there and bomb it right
Okay.
now if they wanted
Yeah.
to and
Why
take it
True
from them.
would
that,
they
but then
why
The
would they
point
loot that
is,
island? The point is they were
because there's
looking for
no need,
human cattle, correct?
brother.
So if
Come
you
on
cannot
now,
get on that island and
It's a
supply these
small
people as
island,
human cattle, if you cannot
brother.
get on
They
this island,
don't
it's a
need
very
it.
small island. Correct.
They
It's
don't
a
need
very
it.
small island. So why haven't
Who
they conquered this
cares?
island?
Because who cares? They don't need it.
yeah, but
There's
Who
they wanted
cares
nothing
it
is
on
not
there
the
they
done
don't
now.
answer.
need.
Who cares is you trying to avoid the question. Why
I'm
have
not
they not
avoiding the
taken this
question.
island
I
over?
answered it.
Why haven't they taken this island over?
Because there's no need for it.
Because they
What are they
can't.
going to do with it? No,
Look,
they can. They can send an F-15 fighter bomber over there and bomb
Mhm.
it literally from
Mike,
20,000 feet up.
So
Mike,
what can they take
when
from
they
the
tell,
dead
And
hold
and
up,
there's
use
wait,
as
nothing
hold up,
they
human
can do
cattle?
about it.
hold
So
up,
what can they use as human cattle?
wait,
Nothing.
hold up, Donnie, hold up, Mike. When they report this island, what is the one factor that all news reporters wants to stick out more than anything?
What?
When they report on these people of Sentinel Island, what is the one thing, they might say something about the flora, they might say about some of the animals that they got though, but what is the number one factor? They usually give you about 3 or 4 factors when they do a story like that. What is the number one thing that they want the people to understand, that they submit to the people? You could
I
lose
don't
your life
understand your
fucking with
question.
these people. They do not
Correct.
fuck with outsiders to the
The
degree
We
resource,
know that.
huh?
this
We
island
know that.
could be
Okay.
100% gold covered in sand. They don't know that because they can't get on the fucking island. The resources they're trying to
Possibly. Well,
attain,
okay.
the resources they're trying to attain is the human livestock, i.e. cattle. If they can't get these human livestock as cattle because they got to have a war, fuck that. I'm not going on an island. It's too fucking hard. We can go get these compliant niggas over here in West Africa. Hey, listen, the homie tribe is selling these niggas 150 silver, all we need. We can get these niggas a couple bottles of gin and whiskey and we can keep fucking moving. I'm gonna do that every day.
And you basically just answered, and you basically just proved my point. What for? If you have a labor force
Yeah,
already in America, if
which
you already
is my
have what,
point.
99, hold on. If you already have 99% of the freaking world's wealth, who gives a fuck about a small island with a bunch of natives on it?
Okay, well let's look at let's look at
That's my
history, right?
point.
Let's look at history. Why didn't they enslave the Native Americans to do that work? Because the Native Americans was what? Choosing death over
The
slavery.
Native Americans eventually became complicit, just like African Americans did. This is why you had the $5 Indians.
Complicit. Why? Because they could go ahead.
Because they couldn't win. Because they couldn't win.
No,
As much resistance as
Why
the
did the Native Americans become complicit? They became complicit because they were not on the menu.
Because they were not on the menu?
That's true. That is true. Yeah, they weren't.
What do you mean by that? No, wait. You got to explain that. What do you mean by they weren't on the menu?
Because they stopped being an option for slavery because these motherfuckers was committing suicide, running off, doing everything they could. They were not becoming slaves for long term. They would enslave them and then they would take off and run.
They were no longer a threat. They had already
You
been
think the Native Americans weren't a threat?
No, they weren't. Once the
So
Trail
we
of
had
Tears
hundreds of
happened
years
and
of
all
wars from Native Americans, but they weren't a threat. Oh, okay.
Once the Trail of Tears happened and most of the tribes were pushed out to the western part of the country, which is desolate, they were no longer a threat.
When did the Trail of Tears happen?
I don't remember the exact year, but once that happened,
okay, well, Kev, you got the access to the internet. You can pull up the Trail of Tears.
Okay, I'll pull it up.
Look, to me, it just seems. I don't know, but you know what?
So 1850, is that correct?
Date 1830 to 1850.
Okay.
Okay, so 1850.
When did what happened?
What?
What? When did America become a country? What was it? 1812.
No.
What was it? 1776.
1776, but it doesn't matter. America. What I'm saying is, America wasn't full, right? America wasn't nowhere near 50 states in 1776, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so we still had to march west, correct? Or America had to march
Correct.
west. So in that
Correct.
march west, did they still have to encounter tribes and deal with those tribes?
Yes, they did.
Okay, so were the Native Americans docile or did they keep fighting?
It
Because there's
depends
multiple
on what
tribes.
tribes you were talking about. There were tribes that were complacent with white people. They were in dealings
Because
with
they
them.
The
worked out
majority were
because they
not.
worked out deals in order
Right.
to
So when you
secure.
deal, you're not a threat anymore.
But
Correct. Okay, yeah. You,
that wasn't the character, the larger part of the character of the tribes who they encountered. It was
so
fighting
there's
the majority of the majority of the way. It was just war. So the whole thing is they warred.
they
That
And
warred
so
and
did Africans. So what is your point about
how
black
ain't
people
nobody.
choosing slavery as a choice? A lot of people fought when white people came to their shores. That's bullshit.
And
okay,
let me ask you this: is okay? So okay, look,
Just like they offered those African tribes deals, right? Those African
being
tribes made deals with white
being
people to
from
sell their
North
own people, right?
Tulsa, one of
Come
those
on.
towns who that was, we mentioned it earlier, that got, massacred by white folks, right?
Yes.
Now, the thing is, when that occurs, what do you think should click into the mind of the people? Because they've done everything that they were told they were supposed to do by way of the law, by way of the government, whatever standard
Right.
was set, by the society. And it still resulted in this, not only just the loss, but the savage taking,
Right.
raping, and I mean, these
Right.
taking
motherfuckers,
everything
they
else.
flooded out black towns, right?
Right.
It wasn't just, where they burned them down. They flooded
Right.
them out, right?
Right.
It's like, all right, at what point is it supposed to click into black people's minds that this is some to the that shit? This isn't just, oh, until the system let up a little bit, because they see you as food. And
Right.
I can understand that people thinking that, all right, well, if you're a slave, all right, you if you're a slave, then all right, I guess you're still a person or something, right? So I guess
Right.
they felt that they were holding on to that. But when you see yourself as fucking food for these motherfuckers, then that's different. That's when that earthliness kicks in, and what I'm saying, fight, flight.
And
You know what I'm
and
saying, and I'm
that's
not
where the
saying.
younger generation of today comes into it because the
Mm,
younger generation of today ain't giving no shorts and no losses to anybody.
the young generation of today is some of the biggest motherfucking drones. Because all they're trying to do is tie themselves deeper into expressionism. That
A
not
lot of these young
community.
people are very violent today and will fight and will beat the crap out of any person, black, white, or whatever.
Again, yes,
Anybody
but if
that they
they're
feel offended by, they're not gonna march with a sign. They're gonna whip your ass in that freaking subway system right there in
oh,
front of everybody and yell "World
okay,
Star."
okay, so
So
they
they're
get they
very
bro,
violent
so
today.
they get they Brody on. We don't need Brodies. We need Kakarots in this motherfuckers. Actually, I think
I
Vegeta's, but
get you. I get you. There's
you
you
know.
need violence with you need a method to the madness, so to speak, right?
Right, right. But the thing is, that which should be solidifying and galvanizing should be the worth of themselves. That is what pushes you to the level. Is one, if you permit yourself to look at the situation for exactly what it is. Is this a situation towards where not only should I be on defense, but I should be on the savage offensive? And not saying to do it, but to at least tell ourselves and get into the mind
To be
state that,
capable of, if need
eh,
be.
yeah,
If need
capable,
be, if we
not
have to go there, then we
not
do it.
everybody's meant to be a warrior, so I ain't gonna put that discipline on everybody.
I
But
agree.
I'm gonna say the contextual understanding.
Understood.
You know what I
And
mean?
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then you get into the worth of the people, and how do people develop worth of themselves? Well, it's all about how they live. What are the values that drive them? What are the principles that bind them? What are, what I'm saying? What is the order that they create that they can continuously build from? Well, if whatever is enriching to our community is permitted to go into someone else's, commodification market, how does that benefit us, right? So that means that, all right, the culture should be precious, the people should be precious, the way that the people coagulate should be precious, and that which binds them, all that should be precious, if not sacred. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking sacred, you know what I mean? But that might be, you know what I'm saying, pushing the envelope a little bit too much. Um, but also understand that within the United States, this is a system that's set up to drain us of all that every little bit that we create, you know what I'm saying, in despite of it.
Yo,
And
I want Lee Ali on the panel. So Kev, you can drop a link for Lee. I want that nigga on the panel because he's spitting some hot fire in the group chat or in the comments that need to be expounded upon.
If you come up,
But in any event, I think, largely and truly, we as the people need to be of the mindset of what white folks do. White folks are very much praised for this dynamic of freedom or death.
yeah,
You
every
have
movie.
William Tell, you have the Guy Fawkes, you have the Guy Fawkes, V for Vendetta movie with the Guy Fawkes mask. You have
The entire MCU. Shit, get the fuck up out of here. Come on now, let's be real
yeah.
here.
I mean, that's what
All
the
the
dynamic
James
is.
Bond, Liam
So we need to
Nielsen.
understand that it's freedom or death. And that's why I'm like, all right, well, when that nigga said that's true to life words. Because if a motherfucker rolled up in my house and said that my kids are gonna be slaves and everything else, and he put a gun to my head, I put
Yep.
myself in position early on to understand that combat is a death. If a motherfucker say that he's a pacifist and he don't know how to fight, he's an idiot, right? Because there's nothing he can do anyway. But I know how to fight. I know how to look at guns and I know how to move myself in a manner to not be shot. I understand the risk and the causation of effect. One of the
Right.
most scariest things that you could ever do is not a gunfight with an individual. It's a fucking knife fight. Because if
Mm.
you're in close quarters with a knife, you're going to be cut. And
Yep.
some artery could be cut to where you bleed out.
Yep. You're definitely gonna get
So
cut.
yeah, and I'm not talking about the dude on Instagram who got famous. He's like, yeah, you just do this and blah blah blah, and the gun is no, that's some silly shit. Like it's a scary concept of being in a fight with a gun. It's a scarier concept of being in a fight with the knife because I can grab the gun, and if there's nobody around me or nobody I care about around me, I can point that gun in a direction and shoot that direction. I
Yeah.
could be out of
Real
the way.
quick.
I could be in a
Yep.
position where it's going to hit something that's not vital.
Yep.
However, a knife,
Huh?
ain't no way in hell you can grab a knife to where it's not going to cut you and cut something vital.
Yep.
Any martial artist will tell you if you have a gun pointed at you, you don't try to grab a gun. That's stupid.
Well, you don't
Any
run because
martial
it's even
artist
more
is
stupid.
me. Any martial artist is roguish, right? So I can tell you if I'm in a position where a gun is in front of me and all you're asking for is my wallet, yeah, I'm gonna give that to you.
Yep.
Correct, yeah. I'm gonna give that to you 10 times out of 10. Have that, take that, because I can cancel the cards and the money in there I can get back. However, if you're telling me my freedom is on the line, I'm gonna do what I have to do. And I'm gonna fight you for that fucking gun.
It's all about the thing is it's all about worth, right? Now we understand how you feel when people say slavery is a choice. The thing is, Kanye said that, and he didn't flesh it out, but it made sense to him on the surface level, thinking of his worth, thinking of his drive, not understanding that, all right, you have a unusual drive, right? Not everybody had a dope ass moms like you did pushing. I mean, she had to be pushing that nigga through everything from day one, right? So, so let's say that he was, tainted with high self worth. So he's going to operate how he operates. There's nothing wrong with that. Look at the goals just helping him to hit, right? The thing is, with black people need to understand that you're moving from property to person, and that's the most important part. Is I mean, if we're dysfunctional to the point to the way that we are, we have to understand. All right, well, we arrived at this dysfunction, right? What where did we come from? We came from something where we had no agency. We was not the operators of our reality. None of that. All right, so I give us a little bit the benefit of the doubt because we're still a growing people. We're still a developing people. You know what I'm saying? Um, and when it comes to our adequate worth, I think that that is something that we struggle with, and primarily we struggle with it because I think the carrot of citizenry is held in front of Black people. That's what they were doing with the was that the civil rights movement and all that other shit. It seemed like they're just dangling that carrot, like, all right, nigga, eventually we're gonna let you in here and navigate, you know what I'm saying, as one of us. And the entire time we're selling ourselves to these people when they've been selling us in our entirety, our entire existence and relationship with them. So if that's that type of value on us to them in such relationship, why is that we don't see? Well, how can we have a difficulty seeing said value of us? And
So, so I think we need to. What we really need to do is we need to be careful with people like Kanye when he says that slavery was a choice, because we give a white apologist attitude towards something that was done to us historically that was wrong. And this is what white people will use to excuse themselves from the reparations conversation. They'll use people like Kanye West and
no, it
some other
doesn't
black
excuse
people
them because you would have had to
to
kill them
basically say,
motherfuckers for
look,
your freedom.
they'll
Wait a
say,
minute.
look,
That don't
it's not our
absolve them.
fault. You guys chose that life. You could have fought back, but we
Wait,
won. This is
wait,
what they'll say. This is the talking points that they'll say. So you have to be careful and mindful of your
bro.
language and
That
how you do
that
and
does
what you
not
say.
absolve them of
You would
anything
never
because you would have had to
say,
kill the motherfucker for your freedom.
Kanye West would never say to a Jewish person the Holocaust was a choice. You wouldn't
Well,
get away
Kanye
with that.
West is
The
saying that
Jewish
he would have
neighborhood,
done
the
something instead
Jewish
of being a slave.
community would shut that down immediately.
Is he wrong? Is he wrong for saying that he's of the sort who would have done something instead of being a slave? Is he wrong for that?
Can you hear me? Can anybody hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, we
What's
can hear you.
All right, to the chatting the folks on the panel.
respect?
Was we all serious? Did somebody say slavery was a choice earlier and was really like meaning that, or were they just trying to devil's advocate Kanye's point?
Oh no. I'm devil advocating Kanye's point
Okay,
and
okay,
going deeper into it because I
okay,
understand what he's talking about when he's
okay.
talking about when looking at the value of a person, the value of how he sees himself. Now I don't think that he thought this when he was back as younger Kanye. I think that, you know what I'm saying, he's privy to some spaces that a lot of other people ain't privy to. And can actually understand that, all right, my value is this within the world, actually, not just America.
Okay,
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
just trying to make sure I understand because a problem I have with this statement is when people just take it bold face, bootstraps esque. The problem is black folks did fight back, and it wasn't like a few times. It was
hundreds.
consistent, thorough, and effective. And it kind of pisses me off in a certain way because just like you were using the example of the small hats, I'm sorry, whoever owns the channel, Kev, my bad for saying this, but what's happening over there in Israel now is nothing more than colonization. And
Right.
it's like saying
Facts.
to Palestine that it was a choice that got taken. No, it's not. It's not. It's colonialism, and it's another form of war, and it's something that's a bit different. And something else I really want to say for anybody in the playback that wants to try to pull the idea that slavery was just this unanimous portion or in piece of human history. You have me with that to a degree, all the way up until uh 18 about 1814. You got me with that. Until we get into America at the time period of 1814 up to 1865, something totally different happens in America that sets it apart from everywhere else in any recorded history I can find, where there's a surviving group of people who actually went through legitimate domestication during the domestic slave trade that Thomas Jefferson kicked off because he was tired of competing with the international rates that slaves were going for. And we were literally bred to a point where we were at 400K to the by the time we get to 1865, where we're 4 million. There is absolutely nobody I can point to in human history who was freaking domesticated for that time period and still are alive today to talk about it.
So let me jump in, and one, I'm gonna defend my point, but two, I was trying to make a statement, but my Wi-Fi is janky, right? So Kanye West, uh, I think is a brilliant individual. However, the problem with certain brilliant individuals is they will see too far ahead and skip steps, so that you, as the common man or the lesser intelligent man, because they're out there, are not able to follow. So that leads to a problem because they can't see how you got from point uh, W to Z, right? They've missed that boat. So I think Kanye should have fleshed that out. Now, in terms of my statement where I said slavery was a choice, this is nameless, right?
Yes, this is nameless.
Okay, nameless. So you are a individual who I think is very brilliant and eloquent in the way he speaks. My understanding is also based on the books and the things that you have written and said, is that you have some understanding of martial arts, war, fighting, fighting back in general. Correct?
Yes, I'm familiar.
Okay. So if I was to come into your home with a pistol and I said to you, "Give me your wallet," you were naked in the bed, no pistol, no gun, no nothing around. I'm at a certain distance to where you feel like you cannot strike back or make any real legitimate dent in me to stop me from taking your wallet, something of insignificant value in my mind anyway, you would give that up. Yes or no?
Obviously, yes.
Okay. So if I ran into your house, same scenario, picked you up, your wife, your kids, everything else, and made you come to my truck, and I'm going to put you into a position of slavery, all the while I have a gun on you, are you going to fight back at any point?
Obviously, yes.
Okay. So this is what I mean and what I believe Kanye West means when I say slavery is a choice. Yes, there is a dynamic of, at this point in time, I'm unable to fight you or do something else. But there is also a long track record and an unfortunate history of slaves being completely complicit until the end. We have multiple movies, which, they're movies, but they describe a depiction of what actually went on. Prime example, the movie Roots, when
Shit, goodbye, Uncle
Toby,
Tom. You gotta watch that
yeah,
one.
oh yeah, but Toby came into the plantation and he was like, "I got to get the fuck up out of here." Who was trying to tell him to stop?
Right. Other people who were indoctrinated. But I'm gonna let you finish the point, and I got a response for all of this. But go ahead.
Right, right. But this is what I mean. If every single individual in that in the story fought back immediately, and let's say they were all casualties, right? I would know that if this was my game plan, I'm going to into neighborhoods and to do this. This neighborhood is going to be problematic, and I'm going to be less likely to go into this neighborhood because of the lack of actual resources I'm going to get. I'm going to find another neighborhood or another place to get to where they're going to be more docile and more complicit with what I'm trying to do.
Okay, so let me say this. A few things. Number one, let's talk about the international slave trade. Have you read Daughters of the Trade?
No.
Please, when you get an opportunity, I think it's on Audible now, so it could be a good listen to while you're in the car going to and fro doing other things. Please get that book. It greatly helps contextualize what was going down to set the stage for the slaves who were being brought to the New World starting from the early 1600s. And
Oh
I
no,
think
I'm very familiar with that dynamic. No, no. So
let me
this
let
so
me let me I'll zero in on the point I'm making here. The way slavery was going on and went down on the continent had two dimensions. One, people were always having intertribal conflicts, and it was just simply customary that those individuals that get adopted into the position of prisoner of war were going to be performing some modality of indentured servitude. So all of the fighting that would have brought and put anybody into context and in any place would have happened during those intertribal conflicts. From that point forward, you're now in indentured servitude that is performing a role within society because that's what that stood for. You had an opportunity for upward mobility. You could even potentially become chief if the right circumstances happened. However, what threw this off was the introduction of these white slave traders that was creating this secondary buffer class of people who mixed with import individuals that were coming in from Europe and mixing in with the indigenous peoples there, more specifically, a lot of the women that were present. So there is a secondary buffer class that is now taking from the people and exploiting this indentured servitude modality. And so now people are finding their ways over there as a currency and being traded for raw goods that they're in turn using to capture other groups of people. And this is where you get into that Dahomey context. Some tribes invested much more heavily into that, such as the peoples of the Oyo, who eventually become Dahomey. Others didn't so much do that. For the example of folks that were in the Congo and further down into what's modern day Angola and other places like that, they were finding themselves in a situation to where when we get to the Americas, they're mixed so much to where you're going to have somebody from one tribe from a different region entirely working with other people who don't know anything with regards to the language, to where there's no opportunity to even begin to mount a defense because everybody's isolated culturally from one another. When they get to the United States, this is exacerbated even further, which is why there were more revolts in the Caribbean than there were on the continent of America, primarily because these individuals were
I
brought
just
in.
want to stop you. The first part of your conversation, where are you talking about specifically that they got to, where they couldn't mount a defense?
They were already part of the indentured servitude portion. So the
Right,
defense
right.
was being
I just want a destination. That's all I want.
right. The defense was being mounted when they were acquired as indentured servants in the first place. So the intertribal conflict. After that,
Right, right.
fighting's
But you're
done.
saying once they got there, they weren't capable of mounting defense because
There was no
of the
need to mount.
mixture.
There was no need to
Right.
mount. Oh, so yeah. When we get to the new, when they get brought to the new world, now they're
Where was
being.
that? Like,
We're talking the Caribbean. We'll just use the
okay,
Caribbean
cool.
as an aggregate
Caribbean.
point.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you. Go ahead.
Right. So they're in the Caribbean, and that's pretty much like Deport One. You've got people from all over Africa in the Caribbean at this point. And generally, it's from here you would get ships coming in from America that would start doing the trade, and they would take a group of people from here and there, and then they would find their way disseminated all along the East Coast of the Americas. So this was why I was saying in the Caribbean there were more revolts, and the revolts were more successful because there was a greater connection to the continent of Africa, a cultural undertone, a sense of identity, and more of a modality to galvanize behind under the face of that oppression. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, cool. So let me give you my blowback, right? So the reason I asked you the destination that they were brought to, which you're just saying was the Caribbean in general, which I'll agree with, right? Caribbean in general, we'll say the Americas, and then you have South and Central America, right? Fair
Right.
enough. Okay. So at this point, you have individuals who are in their homeland in Africa who didn't fight to the death. They were enslaved, put on a boat, and then they were brought to
You
South
skipping
Central
steps.
America.
You skipping steps, and you injected something I'm disagreeing with, and I said it that way for a reason. The individuals that were brought to these slave ports in Africa, again, we're
Mhm.
talking about on the continent, they were the product of intertribal conflict. In intertribal conflict in Africa, everybody didn't die. It just was not a numerical possibility for everyone to die. In fact, it wasn't even always the goal of that. Let me, if I can try to demonstrate an understanding, because when a lot of us look at war, we're looking at it in this idea that everybody knew chattel slavery was going to happen the way it was in the Americas
No,
and in America
no,
in
no.
particular. There was a completely different understanding. It's like you
Slavery
don't
was
fight
very
to,
much
let me put
common.
let me put it to you like this. You wouldn't fight to the death necessarily if you were being arrested by a police officer, right? Like there's an understanding that, okay, maybe you did something wrong, whatever, you're getting arrested now. There isn't this idea that you're going to fight to the death once you're in that status of being detained. It's like this when we're getting into the way slavery was addressed in an intertribal conflict where you were defeated.
So,
Once the fighting is done and concluded, when you're in that position of being a slave, a prisoner of war,
you
it's
can make
not
the
the same thing.
choice of being a complicit slave or fighting until the death.
That's
Yes or
not
no?
being complicit. No, it's
No, no,
not being
no.
complicit. No,
So
if you
you,
didn't die, if
so
you didn't die in the initial combat, it's not like you're just deciding, okay, well, it's an understanding that you're now being part of that society. Well,
complicitness.
that's not being implicit. It's a
bruh. Most
it's
hold on, Nemus. It's a human being's job to live. That is
Correct.
our basic right. So if I want to live, if I whether I'm in slavery or not, I'm gonna do whatever I can to live. To live. Why?
Mhm.
Because also to live is to also fight another day. You're not
Sometimes.
looking at the broader. You're not looking at the.
I,
What do you mean
I,
sometimes? You're not
especially
looking
in
at
that
the
sometimes.
broader.
indentured servitude modality,
So,
it was.
You're not looking at the broader sense.
nameless protagonist makes I I want to call it Japanese fiction. Is it about swordsmen in Japanese culture? Correct.
If you're gonna make an allusion to samurai, not all samurai committed seppuku if they lost the war. In fact, many ran so that they'd have an
I didn't.
opportunity to get revenge. If that's where you're going, I
Yeah,
mean,
they
help me
ran.
understand where you're going. You can complete the
So
thought.
so they either ran or they committed seppuku. Right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying any range of things could happen, but the
Okay.
way there wasn't
So
much of
so the understanding. So well, hold on. Just period point blank.
I'm
The
with you. I'm listening.
understanding is it's death. Give me death, William Wallace. Give me death or give me freedom. Correct?
But not even white people follow that.
That's not the same
I didn't
thing.
ask you if white people followed it.
No, no,
It's
I'm not
give me
talking about
death or
white
give
people. No,
me
no, no,
freedom.
because you're
So
talking to me.
you
You're
either
talking to me.
made
I
the
didn't make
choice
the
to
point about white
die
folks.
or live as a slave. Right or wrong?
So you're basing life based off of some quote that some white guy gave you as the be
Okay,
all and end
I'll
all of
put it
living.
like this. An individual put a gun to my head. I fought to the death. Now, I knew it was a possibility I could die. I fought to the death, but I could have chose to give up my shit. Are you telling me that if I just gave up my shit, I didn't have any options because I fought? Are you
And
telling me that I didn't have the option to fight?
the point that I'm saying to you is Kanye is giving the impression that nobody fought,
There's
that
no
slavery was a
impression. This is
choice.
what you derive from what his statement said.
No, wait a minute. I got the
No, no,
impression
no, no,
that
no,
he
no.
would have fought, that he would have done whatever it took for him not to be a slave. Not
But
that people didn't fight and
but
that
no,
it
that's the
absolves white
bullshit. That,
folks
that
of any
that's what
bullshit.
he's
Because
highlighting right here is saying that if you get caught and you're a slave, it's your fault. And it's your
Right,
fault because you made the quote implicit or complicit decision to not let yourself die in a scenario where you could have lived that.
right.
That
And
right
that's why
there
I said the
is intellect.
Holocaust.
Wait, I gotta finish. That's the either a point is being conflated or a value that he's trying to superimpose in a completely different cultural undertone, especially with how it was done on the continent at that particular time period, is
So,
making a false equivalency. You can't
okay,
even make that
cool.
same, you
It's a
can't
it's
make
a
that same
false
conversion.
equivalency. It's a false
Yes,
equivalency. So
yes,
you're
because that's
telling me
part of the
that
culture.
nobody at that time had the ability to fight till death. Is that what you're telling me?
That's not what's being said. We're saying
No,
that the
no, no,
status of
no, no, no,
slave was not
no,
being
no,
made
no.
consistent with death. Sure, they can
Again,
fight to the death, but what you're focusing on is the idea that the
okay.
understanding of slave
So
then
what you're
is the
saying
same as
is
what
that
slave
there's a
was in
choice.
America.
So what
No,
you're saying
that's
is that
not
there's
the
a choice.
it's not the choice because the
So you're telling
slavery.
me these
Listen,
people did
listen,
not
honey.
have a choice to
The
fight to the death?
definition of slave then was not the definition of slave that's in
You're
America.
going into everywhere else.
That's
I'm
not
asking
the
you a
point.
direct question.
No, and
Did
I'm
these
giving you a
people have
direct
the
answer.
choice
That
to
is not the
fight to
same thing.
death?
They could have fought
I
to the
didn't ask
death,
you if it's
and
not
their
the same
alternative
thing.
they
I
could have
asked you a
fought to the
simple
death.
question.
They could
It's
have
a
fought
yes
to
or
the
no.
they could have fought
Okay,
to the
so they
death,
could have
but
fought to the
but
death.
the
There you
definition is
go.
they end
That's
up
all
being
we
an
need.
indentured
That's
servant.
all we need.
No, it's
They could
not.
have fought to the death.
It's
So
not.
it's a yes or a no.
It's
They
not.
could
They
have
could have
fought to the
jumped
death,
off a
but they
cliff
did
too.
not.
They could have
Like the
jumped off a
Igbo.
cliff. That
Like
makes
the
it moot.
Igbo. The Igbo jumped off the fucking boat and they said, let's stop fucking with these motherfuckers.
They weren't the only ones either. You had that whole story
Okay,
of Amistad. My point
cool,
is, once
great.
again, being an
So
indentured
there was
servant,
a
being
choice
an
in
indentured
the
servant.
fact.
No,
The
being an
fact
indentured servant
is
is
they
not
had a choice.
being an indentured servant is not
Mhm.
the same thing as being a slave as it was in the Americas. Under
Oh, okay,
no
but did they have a
conditions
choice?
was there any similar modality.
But did they have a choice?
There was the same choice anybody else has to
It's a
Again,
live or
lot of
die
right.
every
walking
day. It's a
around
moot
yes or
point.
no.
It's a moot
It's,
Don,
point.
it's
It
Donnie,
is
not a
an
moot point.
absolutely
It's
moot
you
point.
trying to to avoid the question. It's a yes or a no.
Donnie,
Did they have
No
a
Donnie.
choice?
avoiding it.
He's picking.
It's a non-relevant
He's
So
point.
if I put my
picking.
gun to your head and I tell you you got to
That's not the
come
same
and
thing as
have
people
sex with
being
10
born in
people,
slavery
is it
later
a
on.
choice?
Now
Everybody has
check
the
this
choice
out,
to do
Donnie.
whatever,
Check
right?
this out.
I mean that's
If I ask Kanye right now, did the Jews have a choice about the Holocaust? He would not answer that question.
They did have a choice.
are
They
you
But
didn't have to go to
fucking kidding
any.
me?
he wouldn't say that. People will say that about
You know,
black people
first
in
off,
slavery, but he wouldn't say
first
that.
and
He
foremost,
would not
Kanye
say
just got
that
kicked.
about the Jews. He
Kanye
wouldn't.
just
He
got
did say
kicked
he's
off of
finna unleash
Twitter
some shit on
for
Twitter,
doing the
didn't he?
same shit. So you can't say that.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I
Kanye
guess
just
they ain't
got
gonna let him
kicked
talk
off
Fam,
of
it's
now.
not the
Twitter
same
for
thing.
going in on the Jews. So you can't
No,
say
no,
that
no, 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 no,
Are
no,
you
no, no.
serious?
He didn't make no statement like that.
because
He
he
didn't
didn't
say
get
that.
there. Because he didn't get there. But Kanye ain't finna
No,
just talk.
because he's selective, like
Nah,
a lot of
Kanye,
people.
he's kicked off of Twitter. You mean what you talking about? He's
He's
selective.
selective.
He just
He's
made a
selective,
conversation about the
just
Jews,
like Candace
and all these
Okay,
Owens.
motherfuckers
okay,
Just like
but
Candace Owens is
but
selective
we need to
about
be
what she
clear.
says.
We need to be clear on something. You just
Candace
said
Owens
the
is selective about her
Holocaust was a
paper.
choice. You just said the Holocaust
Yeah,
was a choice at that point. So
ain't nobody
if
gonna
we
cancel
go
me.
off
So
of
yeah,
your language, if we go off of your understanding, everything under the sun is a choice, which means all idea of any systems, any possibility of anything going down is moot because human beings are the ultimate masters of everything that happens to them under all circumstances. Correct?
so what you're trying to do is conflate my conversation and my argument into everything else. So if a motherfucker presents a multitude of choices to you under duress, and your answer to that is I'm going to acquiesce and not fight, you're saying that me not fighting back or not revolting was not a choice. No, it was very much a choice. White people are
So
very much are at fault for the shit that they did. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that you didn't fight back. Just like if you watch your father get robbed in front of you, you're gonna look at him funny because he had you and your sibling look funny. But it doesn't present as that to you as an adult because you understand of what could come with that. However, there's a win and a loss ratio. So certain people take these losses, i.e., slavery, as I could potentially escape later, but the later never comes. Why? Because they didn't fight back. So if an individual breaks into my house and tells me that my whole family is going to be enslaved, I'm going to fight back with him at some point in the abduction because it's death or dishonor in my lineage.
Are we still in
okay,
chattel slavery in America?
no. He's talking about really this is hindsight bias. Ultimately, this is
It's not
hindsight bias.
hindsight
No,
It is
but
bias.
he said
hindsight
it
bias.
never.
It's
He said it
hindsight
never come.
bias and it's
If
confirmation bias all at the same time. Because
if
there's
some
no way the definition. We need to understand that these people made these choice. We'll give you that it was a choice because all human action is a choice, which is what we're talking about. You can call it a conflation if you want. It's the same algorithm. So if choice is the matter here, what needs to be addressed and what I was trying to focus on so that people can have a good merit conversation about that is that the context under which those choices were made matters. The understanding of what those consequences would be matters. In hindsight, we now know they should have probably fought back. If these individuals understood what would have happened down the line, I doubt very seriously the amount of people that acquiesced to that scenario would have done so. A good example is that scene that what's his name? The dude that was playing Anansi in American Gods when he was on that slave ship.
I know you
Yeah,
talk about
You know what I'm
the
talking about?
Mountain Dew dude,
it's one of my favorite
He got
Orlando,
scenes.
taken off. Orlando,
Orlando.
yeah. Is it Cass? Is it? It's not Castillo. It's Orlando something.
Use it. Orlando Jones.
Okay,
There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, that whole speech is what we're ultimately talking about.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that, and what I want to emphasize is that decisions are made with presuppositions with the most available information they have at the time. The point
Right.
I was making is that we can't use the hindsight and vision we have now and understanding how that plays out and superimpose that to the decisions that were made back then with regards to their understanding of what those consequences would have been. That's the
Okay,
Driving
point
down the
so
I'm making
alley.
there.
as I brought up
Like his
earlier,
example
right?
about driving down the alley. Like when you got told to
Well,
drive
let
down
him
the
Right.
let him finish
alley.
his thought so we can, because I don't want the thought to get lost. Go ahead, fam.
So he was bringing it up actually, but my father, right? My father was in California in the '80s, right? He had a chop truck, car phone in the car. He got caught slipping in L.A. He was driving down the alley. Or no, he was not driving. He was driving down the street, and anybody knows who's in California. Uh, uh, Robberies were just commonplace. Motherfucker, you stop at a stop sign, motherfucker rob you. That's just what it was. They would do
Yeah.
shit. They would rob you. So they hit him with the carjacking. Right? They were going to take his car, which was an acceptable loss because he can go get another car. Right? I think that's very much agreed upon. You can get out the car, they take your car. That's in the story. I think a lot of individuals are okay with that because the car is an acceptable loss. The point they were like, drive down this alley was his death sentence. Okay. Is that understood? Does anybody have any disagreement with that?
Nope.
Okay. So when at the point they tell you we're going to leave the village or do any of this shit there or do this there or go here go XYZ, that is the point to where you have to kick in with your third eye and go, nah, nigga, I'm not going for that, which is what my father did, because if he didn't do that then I wouldn't be here today. So this is what I liken that conversation to. You're in a hut in 1700 Africa, and a motherfucker kicks in and they're going to take you from that village. At that point, it's death or freedom.
So let me show the nuance here. Slavery then didn't necessarily mean death. It
Again,
also didn't
if
mean.
a
Let me just finish
motherfucker
the
is
statement. Let me
taking you
just. I
from
got.
your
I gotta
village,
finish the statement,
Let him finish
fam.
point. Let him
I
finish
gotta
point.
finish the statement. Slavery then on the continent didn't necessarily mean death. It didn't. It didn't. It was. It was no different than potentially going to jail. You can still go to jail
cap,
and come out and continue
cap,
with your life.
absolute cap,
You can. It happens all the
absolute
time.
cap.
That's
I,
no
I've,
cap about
I've,
none of that.
I've,
Okay.
I've
Okay.
heard no
Then
concept of slavery in any time period where you are going to another place, another location where it's just like, oh yeah, you'll be here for a couple months, and you could cap,
I didn't say
absolute cap.
months. People could within a certain amount
That's
of years
jail.
literally rise up within a certain period. I'm saying
Could
slavery didn't mean death the way we understand it again in hindsight. That's the point I'm making.
again,
Slavery didn't wasn't necessarily synonymous with death. It wasn't.
again,
It was synonymous
jail.
with defeat.
And even fucking jail. You have niggas out here saying death. I'll be carried by 12 before I go to jail. Like, I'm not going to jail, and you're not taking me off anywhere. I
Okay, that's you, right? I'm just saying. You were drawing the correlation between the car situation where you stated most people would be fine losing a car if it meant they could keep their life. I'm
okay,
saying
cool.
it's a similar scenario back then, understanding
Slavery
that
was potentially
slavery
jail,
didn't
right?
necessarily mean death. Yes, it could mean
Okay,
jail
cool.
for it'd be just like
So
jail with the
so people
potentiality of
chose
being. Go ahead.
people chose jail over death. Okay, cool. They chose. Gotcha.
But again, I was saying that's the issue in dealing with looking at this from hindsight. I mean,
Hmm.
people still could continue on with their lives. It's why you've got axioms in West Africa about don't be so proud about your heritage. Because a lot of the populations that would be in some of these tribes were from groups of people who were taken over and included and added over time into their tribe as well. So a lot of
So
these folks in these locations are very, very mixed.
so
But you
you're saying basically, essentially, people had the choice of choosing quote unquote jail or their freedom.
that would have been that or death. Like if they didn't get killed in the onset, listen,
Mhm.
they were the products of that war. So if they didn't get killed in the onset of the conflict, I mean, let's say your village was taken over, but you happen to be out hunting with the hunting party at the time, and you get back and everything's done. You
I
know,
like that.
you come back and it's like, okay, they got your kids, they got your family, and all of that. You already see they're in chains, getting ready to be added uh, to the new group. That was an understood process. It didn't mean the same as we understand it now, where it was like, look, they all finna die. You're never gonna see them again, and they're gonna be on some nonsense on the ship. And even if they live from that
Gotcha.
point forward, it's nobody knew that across the board.
So basically, you're like you were out on a hunting trip. You came back, let's say a week after the tribe had been conquered.
Right.
You come back and you find out that your family, your wife, and let's say 37 kids, just some absurd amount of kids that has your heart going, oh shit, uh, is fucked up, and you have the option of taking your life and putting it up for whatever the conquerors of your village want to do with it. If they release your kids, is
Assuming
that where
that
you're
they're
going?
still here.
No, it's not an ultimatum scenario. I was given an example of you
I
come
mean,
back.
it's always an ultimatum scenario. That which
Okay,
is the point of what
technically,
I'm
right?
saying. It's a choice,
Again, I'm pointing to the context of the decision being made.
which
Everything's
is
a
a
choice.
choice.
I'm going to see that everything's a choice. What I'm saying is the context under which that choice is made isn't
It's a
necessarily the
hard
way it's
choice,
being
but it's a
projected.
choice.
I'm not talking about the difficulty of it. I'm talking about the nature of it. So, yeah,
But it's
that
a
does
choice,
imply that
correct?
we all know everything's a choice. Sure. Yes, of course. Of course. But that's why I
So
called it
what is
moot,
the
because
argument here?
everything's a choice.
It
The
is
point
in
I'm making is
man's
the context, because this is where we get with what's implied, implicitly
man's
implied with
job is to
Kanye's statement
survive,
that they were choosing
to
something
live.
to live over death is understandable as a human being. But to try
Right.
to paint their like they knew what they were getting into by choosing slavery, as you were stating, is not the same there on the continent as it was played out here in America. It was
Like
completely
it's
So,
one
different.
thing if I
in
could just say something real quick. It's one thing if an African warrior gives his life for his tribe. It's another thing if a simple blacksmith or whatever or a crafter gives his life. Like you understand what I'm saying? Like a soldier is prepared to give his life for his country
so
or his tribesmen. You had people that were just regular people in the tribe that, bro, like you're just trying to live.
No, no, no.
so
I'm
You're
not
let,
trying
making
to
let
that
me
live
point.
and you're
I'm not
taken
making that
into a
point.
situation.
I'm not making that.
I'm
I'm
saying
talking
no, no.
about.
I'm saying this though. I'm
Okay.
saying this
Okay. I just want to make
like because
sure.
like not everybody in these tribes were just warriors, and that goes for Africans, the Aztecs, the Native Americans. Like you had your regular population of people, just like you and I or whatever. How do you
I, I
know what every person's going to do in that situation?
I
Everybody's
get
just
that
trying to
dynamic.
live.
I completely can get
And
that
most people,
dynamic.
if they have a weapon
However,
pointed at them, hold on. Most people, if they have a weapon pointed at them, they're gonna try to cooperate to live, bro. It is what it
yeah,
is.
that's the
Exactly.
choice
Okay,
But
they
see,
but
made.
but
but
then but
Donnie's
then we come
argument
right
is
That's
back to
the
again
the
his
choice they
word.
made.
argument. His argument is it boils down to a choice, and
It,
and he's not wrong. I think what we're talking about is the implications of the choice and how that can be weaponized to imply an ideology about a people as a result of that. That's what I'm
so
saying with regards to that.
so I'll say this, and maybe I'm quite different from y'all. My mindset has always been a man's ultimate destination is to create a legacy and to procreate. My life is inconsequential. Anytime I've gotten into a fight or an issue or a beef, quote unquote, I've understood that my life is on the line. The Hagakure states a man should daily meditate on him being torn apart by arrows, swords, XYZ. And I really took that to heart because I had the understanding of something could happen to me on an everyday basis. And me as a man, I shouldn't be afraid of those because I still got to stand up for what I am as a man. So
Yeah, but you
with
also
that,
projecting warriorhood though, dog. Not everybody
I
is of
no
that
no no, no
cast.
I am and I understand that, right? But I also understand that living as a second class citizen, which is what you are as a slave, regardless of what dynamic and what time frame it is in, that's what you are. There's no slave that was on par with the king,
Right.
right or
But there
wrong.
were slaves that became king, and
There
that's
were
what I'm trying to
slaves.
say.
There
So
were slaves that became kings, but no slave ever became a slave and was like, "I'm gonna become a king after this shit." It never happened.
yet and still they were able to move on with their lives and become part of something potentially better. What I'm saying is
Incident,
that classification,
incidentally,
that no, it was common. Again, it's
in
where you get that
no,
on in
it wasn't
Africa. It
common.
was common.
In
Yes, it
Africa,
was
it was
in
not
Africa.
common.
And
Every
see,
slave
yes,
did
it
not become a
was.
king. Common,
I didn't
common
say become a
indicates
king.
every
I said become a part
common,
of a functional part of
common.
society. It's not the same thing we're
Okay,
talking about.
so you
So
didn't say a functional part of
I
society. So
did.
let's
Maybe
just
you didn't hear
backtrack here.
that. Maybe you can play the tape back. What I'm
We can
saying
play
is,
back 10 seconds. Kings became what
I
from
said
slaves.
there was
So
instances where slaves did become kings, and there were instances where the majority of
okay,
people who were in that instance could become functional members of society. I said it a moment
which
ago, and I said
which
it
is a
much
lesser
earlier.
and a side note. But in any event, that's not common. And no,
That
you can't say
was
it's common.
common on the
Okay,
continent of Africa.
give me 10 examples.
Fam, the whole way everybody did
Give
that.
me
You
ten
could look at the way
examples.
the kingdom
I
of
didn't ask
Oyo
you
was set
everybody.
up.
Give me 10 examples.
You could look
Hey,
at the Oyo.
I want
You
10
could look
examples.
at
You
the
said
hey,
it's
Zulu.
hey,
common. Give
hey,
You
me
could
let's
10
look at the
examples.
hold up, man.
entire
Hey,
Zulu. You could look at the entire Zulu, Xhosa, and the people in
Cool. Give
the
me 10
Khoisan
examples.
people. I'm
Cool.
right,
Give
giving
me
you
ain't
10
examples of
examples.
that deep.
people and tribes that did the same thing.
Okay, so give me the names. Go ahead.
I already told you the Zulu peoples and
No, no,
all of
no.
the
I said
different subranches.
examples. No, no, no. You're naming people. Give me 10 examples. Give me 10 people. Give me some names.
You had Shaka Zulu's entire
Hey,
history based
hey,
on
can
that.
y'all hear
Are you
me? Can
Yeah,
y'all hear
we can hear
me?
you, Kev.
All right, it ain't that deep, man. I get it. I mean, I get it. You know, we slavery, slavery's over. I'll say that much. But you know, is this is we're at the 3 hour 30 minute mark right now. So
Pumpkin life.
say what?
Pumpkin life. Gonna turn into a pumpkin.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Donnie,
So
for the record, I put a link in the chat talking about the concept of death because ultimately I share the same mindset with regards to that as you do. So I had a whole video where I
In the
actually
back
talk about the
chat,
same thing.
drop it again. Drop it again, because I don't see it.
It's in the main chat, but I can drop it in the back chat too.
All right.
mm,
It's right there. Yeah. Definitely
yeah.
leave a comment.
All right, you know, chaos ain't spoke yet. So chaos, you there? Cause
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm
I'm just
about to,
listening. I'm listening, bro. Just relax and listen, man. Me and Name is
yeah,
still
yeah.
show.
I'm about to shut this down. About to get
Okay.
everybody, you know, with final statements and
All right, let me say mine first. I did appreciate the
all right.
sharpening, y'all. As far as it comes with the culture, it's like this. Um, if the people aren't, if the source of the culture isn't precious enough to be seen as something that could be sanctimonious, or maybe a framework applied to it, to where we have some form of order of our own principle of how we're established amongst ourselves. Yeah, I mean, people are going to do what they do with the culture. They're going to change it in what they want to change it to. They're going to reverse engineer it and siphon from it what they will. The culture that Black people make is undeniable, right? It's instantly universal, unfortunately, because it's just the best shit that everybody else in the world has seen. But also that really shouldn't permit them to, be able to run rampant with another people's essence of expression or other ways that they express themselves. That being said, y'all take care of yourself. Again, thanks. Holla at y'all in these streets. Peace.
Word, Rogish.
Well,
Appreciate you.
Peace.
All right, all right. Whoever's next.
I guess I'll go next since I was under him. Appreciate you having me on, Brother Kev. I've come to your channel before. I haven't been on in a while, but I think the thing that we need to leave with tonight is that, first of all, you can't stop cultural appropriation. It's going to happen. Just like, unfortunately, people are going to use the N word that are non black. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is what it is. Um, we can't police it, but, I would strongly advise to those other groups that try to go there with that, be prepared for the smoke. And then the last thing I want to say is, we need to be wary of black people who use certain language amongst other groups as well, saying certain things like slavery was a choice. Because let me tell you something, it'd be one thing if Kanye said it amongst black people behind closed doors and they was having a discussion about it and he kind of threw the idea out there. That's behind closed doors. We can have discussion about it just like we had a discussion about it tonight, and Kanye could have got his thoughts out and made his message more clear amongst black society. But when you put certain things out there on tweets, on social media, where other groups can see it and interpret what you said and how it was said, you have to be very, very careful with your language, because you can give a lot of impressions about certain things and certain factors as far as black people and our history and our heritage that's false. So on that note, I want to say thank you again. I appreciate the dialogue, even, certain things we disagree with. I respect the fact that we all kept it respectful on this platform amongst the brothers, and salute to everyone on here.
Yeah, let me push back on something that you said, and this is pretty much something that I do advocate. Um, why should we care about what other groups think of us? Why should we? I mean, I get what you're saying.
Mhm.
They can weaponize what we say, but why should we care? They've
As
historically
far,
been they have historically been against us. Why are we policing ourselves just to if I'm to the point where if a white person says something derogatory,
Mhm.
and I don't care if they heard 100 black folks say it, I'm just not surprised. Is my thing is I come from a spot where other groups of people should know their place with us. And the thing is, why can't we have that attitude? I'm not going to be careful about what I say around other people. They can shut the fuck up. But that's just me. Other people are going to
It's
see it
niggas
differently. So,
behind him.
Well, I think when it, I think you're misinterpreting what I'm saying. I was talking about in a historical concept, and remember, we've been talking all night about taking control of the narrative, right? We are like the brother said down there. We are living culture. The one that the brother that signed off. We are living culture, right? Well, that culture has a definite historical record. So when you say stuff like, for instance, slavery was a choice. Now, again, I don't know exactly what he meant by that. We're not talking to Kanye directly right now, but most people are going to read that as, oh yeah, black people did decide to become slaves. People can twist the narrative in America. And you see that a lot of times in America where things are just said, people just fart their opinions out into the world and they take things and they twist it. And then we, as for instance, black men, right? We have to now take on the burden of the narrative that all black men are violent, all black men are criminals. Why? Because someone farted out there in the world that black people are violent. So we
What the
have to
fuck?
take that
How did we
narrative.
get?
I gotta
Well,
I
it's
gotta
the
say
final
this,
thought.
man. I gotta say
Nah, you
this.
know what? I'm gonna leave it alone because this is final thought. Let him get his final thought. That shit blew my mind. But go ahead. That's his final thought. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say this, man, because I'm getting tired of this narrative that we chose to be a slave. When the fuck does somebody choose to be a slave? When does somebody choose to relinquish their rights, their religion, their name, their dignity? This is
Yo,
what happens. This is what happens ultimately when we
is that
misconstrue
Faulkner?
the truth. You goddamn right.
Hey, let him have his final thought. We do this in the back chat, but let him have his final thought. We just
But I
run
want
in
to say
order.
this
I
part.
get where
I'm
you're
done.
going.
I'm done. Here,
But I
brother.
want to
You
say
can
this
have it,
part
brother.
while
Thank you.
people are listening. I want to say this while people are listening. Motherfuckers don't know how dangerous misinformation and disinformation truly is. Okay? You got motherfuckers supporting the woman king when it's a fucking historical lie. And
Facts.
then white fucking women are telling black women this is what you should celebrate. The motherfuckers who celebrate it, you're fucking enslavement. Look what the color purple did in the 80s for the image of the black man.
And they're revising it now too. Rumor that's
And
going
then
right now.
think, and then think about this shit. Did we ever recover from that shit? You have motherfuckers like a Mary Brown who says, well, if black men got reparations, we'll trick it off. Well, guess what? Black women are fucking tricking off their fucking money when it comes to hair. You got 80% of the fucking kids, and you will not invest that money into your sons. How do you get all this education, which you're not the most educated women in the fucking country? Not even close. You
Jesus
get these
Christ.
degrees. How can you get a fucking bachelor's degree, but your son, he's in 8th grade and he can't read? But see, here's the dangerous shit about this, right? Is that fundamentally Negroes don't read. They don't research. They don't investigate. And motherfuckers say slavery is a choice. Last time I checked, Nat Turner was a slave. He was treated like a slave. And even when he revolted, he was executed as a slave. As
He's an
much
ex.
as he didn't want to be, and we should celebrate that ancestor is for what he died, and what he died for, is that fundamentally for Negroes to joke about this shit. I will constantly be in debates with motherfuckers who telling me black women are the number one enemies. No, systemic racism is. Systemic racism gives your woman the authority to undermine you, to undermine your family, to break apart your fucking bond with your children.
Charles, we wrapping it up. You gotta wrap it up, fam.
Go ahead, man.
No. I get it. We get it. But I want to respond to this awoken. Y'all want power, but don't want to take the responsibility that come along with it. Says the most least powerful group of fucking women on the planet. Please do not come over here with that gender war bullshit.
And can I say this
I
real
mean,
quick, Chad? Can I
go,
say this real quick to that
go
awoken?
ahead, bro.
First of all, you talking to a fucking law enforcement officer. Black women are actually safer with black men than any other man on the planet. It's actually been proven that almost 70%, 67 to 68% of domestic violence, the woman in the black community is the aggressor. It is more dangerous for us to be with you than you to be with us.
I don't believe that a person that says that kind of thing or has that mentality actually cares about the truth or, and as far as numbers and facts, as far as how they affect, they just want to shuck the blame to someone else. Um, and when statements are like that made, um, it makes me wonder who is this gender war more important to? Who
She
is
ain't said this. She ain't said shit this whole broadcast. She came over here to say some flick shit at the end.
at
Ignore her
the
And
and
as
keep
a
it
matter of
pushing.
fact, awaken, or whatever the fuck your name is, sheep still sleep, I guess. Come over to my fucking channel. I got a
end?
live one cooking right now. I'll allow you on the panel.
Oh, you live? All right. Well, let's wrap this
But
up. We can run the Faulkner.
because guess what? If you want to come, Charles Faulkner Jr., guess what? I would love to have you on my panel. I would love to hear your rhetoric. But be careful what you wish for because motherfucker, you just gonna get it.
Hey, and for the record, Saucy Santana shouldn't have a fucking thing to say to straight man. Stay in his fucking lane.
But before
Huh?
I go,
No,
and thank you for
Work
letting me
nigga?
yeah,
before I
yeah, that guy.
before I go, thank you for having me up here on this short notice, Kev. See, this tells you how much of a failure black women truly are. You have transgender men speaking up for you. Transgender women, well, men who were born as men and think they're women. These are the motherfuckers you allow to speak up for you. But guess what? You're now mad because they're getting all the benefits you cried about for your equality, and they get to call themselves women and get treated as such. But let's see the humility about this. Notice
The,
you could put a lot of these women out here on the street. You put a transgender man right next to a natural born black woman. A lot of y'all motherfuckers look the same. That's your failure. You should have got in shape.
Charles Faulkner Jr. is the channel, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Who's next on
hey,
the on the chaos or Mike spoke? Yeah, chaos. Yeah.
we
I'm
see
good.
that
No, good. I'm sitting watching.
word.
All right. Well, you know me and Kevin's going out, but yeah, my whole thing is I guess I'll be the nameless antagonist. No, my whole thing is I'm an individual who fully has understood from childhood that might makes right, right, and with that dynamic is if you are unable to defend yourself or put up any kind of a fight, you're unable to speak because, simply put, you don't have the ability. Power is going to come in and destroy you. Uh, this is why I believe the dynamic of slavery was a choice. You have the choice to fight or surrender. Uh, that's just what it is at the end of the day. And I understand people have this angry dynamic of X, Y, Z, and all these arguments, but ultimately it boils down to choice. Are you going to go along or are you going to fight to the death? I personally choose fighting to the death. If somebody was to run into my house with my family and everything else, and I see it as something uh, very cheap that I can get rid of, yeah, I'm going to give them what I can give them. But if I see my family is at risk at any point, then I would rather my son say to his children, "My father fought for my life," than not. So I understand the dynamic of people being angry over slavery is a choice, but if I have the option of slavery or death, I'm going to choose death every time because my family is not going to be as such. So that's me. I'm a habitual line stepper. I'm stepping the fuck out this chat. Faulkner, I might pop up on there. Awoken, pop your ass on there and get on the channel. I'll see y'all soon. Nameless protagonist, please drop one of your books in the back chat because I'm really curious to read one of them motherfuckers. But I'll let y'all later.
All right, fam. I'll just stick to what I said before. I mean, I think history is important for one major reason. It's complaining if you're not able to take into consideration that among all the choices that are made in the past, if you don't understand their context, you're doomed to repeat a lot of those mistakes. And unfortunately, you can be left with a cognitive bias that completely distorts why those decisions were made. Hindsight really is 50-50. And back then, especially on the continent, slavery didn't always mean death. And for the majority of the individuals that participated in that system, it meant a possibility to still live. And for some people, a lot of people, if they're given an option that they could still be in their family's life and they could still continue to move forward, they would. Were there many who chose death over that? Absolutely. But we're dealing with human beings and human nature. And many people have no idea how they're going to respond until they're in that position in that moment. And something I will argue to the very end is the way the domestic slave trade happened in America, because that was a completely different creature. A completely different creature. And it was intentionally designed to destroy the will of people, to keep them from happening, because the very anchoring bias that human beings come into the world with, the very notion of what normal is for the overwhelming majority of individuals in that environment, was slavery. And if that's all you know, if that's all everything has ever been shown towards you, percentage wise, even though it's possible to leave that environment, the likelihood of you doing so is much lower. And it's easily manipulative to say in a scenario like that, that while true, there's a modality of choice, that you understand the context under which that choice was made, and that it will be any different than someone choosing to take a vaccine or somebody choosing to take some sort of modality that could get them killed. And to support a point that was made earlier, because it does coincide with my own personal belief. Again, folks that know me know I follow martial arts, especially a lot of the Japanese modalities and expressions of that. With it comes this concept of resolute acceptance of death. It's literally stated in the concept that was borrowed in the Hagakure. The way of the warrior is found in resolute acceptance of death. And it's an understanding that in all you do, so that you can be of service to your Lord, which is what that was, the whole concept of that, is to already be resolved with death, so that when you're faced with the opportunity with death, you can face it with absolutely no hesitation.
Best way to go.
There is very few people on planet Earth that truly function that way, however, when we get down to the numbers. So while true, we have to understand that we're dealing with real human beings with the real human nature. And in particular, in that time period, slavery didn't necessarily mean death, but it became something totally different once we got over here. And the repeated revolt after revolt after revolt after revolt that went down here is proof of that. However, culture wins out in the end. And unfortunately, that's where the real damage was done with regards to that. Our perspective of our condition being normalized, rather than understanding that there's nothing normal about being in a position of subjugation like that. But that's my final statement on that. Kev, thanks for having me up, man, and to the panel, the folks on the channel.
Word. Nameless. Always a pleasure. And oos. All right, I think that's everyone. Yeah. Listen up, guys. Anybody is in that chat, whether I agree or disagree with you, you're allowed to speak. So, although I disagree with Awoken and whoever this other guy is toward the end, Colt Van, you might be suffering from a bit of black man guilt, but that's okay. But at the end of the day, whether I agree or disagree, points of view, different points of view are always appreciated. And the whole point of this broadcast I was trying to make was this. I mean, it went into many different dynamics and had a very interesting slavery as a choice conversation, which is really the intention of any of these conversations, um, for them to not be a complete waste of time. So always good, fellas. I appreciate it as always, and till the next time. That's it. So
Peace, brothers. Thank you.
glad y'all could make it. And I'll end with this: long live the habitual line steppers. In Kev we trust. I'm gonna win, and seriously, when that happens, we all do. So peace out. Till next time.